Hello and welcome to Cat's Movie Corner, from the Pile, episode 6. I'm Cat, joined by Ernesto. How's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm all right. We got some news and other films, I guess, to talk about that we've seen over the past
We got a
week.
lot of stuff to talk about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I figured I'll kick it off with a bit of physical media news. I was very
Okay.
annoyed with the news that dropped today that just pissed me off so much. So, back in October, I pre ordered the 4K steelbook of One Battle After Another. And they're like, it's going to have a bunch of bonus features, which I thought was odd because Paul Thomas Anderson doesn't usually go in for those. And they're like, it's going to be released in the spring. It was an official release. I pre ordered it. Great. Come March 6th, Amazon sends me a message saying, oh, we've canceled your order due to low stock. But I knew for fact that there were plenty of people who didn't order it till late February who were given the option to extend to the next release date. Uh, and I started thinking that maybe they did intend to do it, but maybe they canceled the release because the movie lost 100 million for the studio. But today they have announced an actual 4K steelbook, 3 disc set, the 4K disc, the Blu-ray disc, and the bonus features disc, which they made a few copies available and sold out in the space of a few hours. And it includes, strangely, a 24-page booklet with it. And it's like, why did you cancel my order when this thing was coming down the pipe and when you let other people who more recently ordered it have the opportunity? I was so pissed off. And since I was convinced they were going to cancel it, I actually picked it up on the standard version just last Friday. Uh, so I just so annoyed by that. Uh, C'est la vie. Oh, we got some people here. We got hey Herc, boom. DJ Play Nice stopping by to say hi and leave a like. Have a great show. I'll join the replay crew. Nice. Make sure that your subscription is active. The alert bell is set to all. Thank you very much. Uh, yes,
Thank you.
absolutely. Yeah, salute.
Also, if my camera's off, it's because I'm trying to gobble my food. That way, you guys don't see me
Sorry.
chew. So it'll be on soon. Trust me.
Uh, the second piece of physical media news that came out today is one that really surprised me. Netflix has allowed Arrow Video, which puts out these really premium filmed, copies of their movies. Like I got, let's see, I got a few of them down here. I got the Tremors on 4K. I got the Tremors
Mm.
2, the deluxe edition on 4K with booklets and everything. I got Wes Craven's Last House on the left, and I've got some Dario Argento films, uh, Cat o' Nine Tails, Deep Red, and let's see, the Bird with the Crystal Plumage. 3 classic films, by the way. I highly recommend them if you haven't seen them. And lastly, for my Arrow collection, The Hills Have Eyes, which is great because I didn't
Ooh.
wasn't able to get the Blu-ray in the States because for some reason it was region locked. Uh, but that's nice that they put that
That's the
out.
one thing that I give. That's the one thing that I give Arrow credit. They will bring movies that other entities won't even bother with shelling out the money for reproduction. I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, but Arrow was the one that did the Alligator movie 4K.
Yes.
That was
Uh,
like the very B movie. It was this was like before Lake Placid, the alligator that's in the sewers and it's basically on a rampage.
yeah. Um, Another one they had on their website was an overseas version of the Dollars trilogy in 4K. Now, Kino Lorber did Good, the Bad, and the Ugly in 4K. Unfortunately, it was the shorter theatrical cut, not the 3-hour premiere cut. But Arrow also has the sequels in 4K for a few dollars more, and uh, Fistful of Dollars, or the original, I guess, Fistful of Dollars, I should say. And so they got neat titles there, but they often price out. But anyway, the news that came out today is that Netflix is allowing them to put out a complete series Blu-ray or 4K box set of Stranger Things. And I know that Netflix put out the first 2 seasons on regular Blu-ray because back then they were still trying to advertise their service and say, here's a selection of what we have. Come sign up for us. So they never put the other seasons out. But I was shocked that for a flagship show, which just ended and had insane ratings, that they would actually allow this to go forward. Granted, it's probably a set for diehard fans because it's Arrow, so they charge premium prices, upcharges. The Blu-ray's like 180 and the 4K is 200, and then they have deluxe sets which include a bunch of bells and whistles and stuff. But I was just surprised.
Because if we couldn't say fuck you at $200, we'll say you fuck you at any price we want.
Yeah, but I think part of that is more Arrow than it is Netflix, because Arrow always charges a premium. That's why I only have those few Arrow films, even though I would like more. They're just so expensive. And I think part of that is because they ship from Europe for the most part.
Yeah, my comment isn't directed at Arrow. My comment is directed at Netflix for allowing that final season to play out the way it did.
Oh, I don't know. I never saw the show, so.
Well, I know you don't. I just know that I sat through that just looking at the screen like, what the hell am I watching? Really? This is what it's all been leading to? Which the story in itself really wasn't the issue. It was the execution of everything where I'm just like, wow, y'all must really think I'm that stupid. But evidently they do, because not me, but everybody else, because they even have a whole trove of people that were, you know, putting out conspiracy theories that there was a secret episode.
Yeah. Do you think it's like a Game of Thrones season 8 situation where it just felt very rushed, like the creators just wanted to go do other shit and didn't think about it?
I don't know if it was a rush thing, because there was a pretty wide window of time between the last season and this one. I mean, I know there's that thing that as you get older, it feels like the days are moving faster and the years are coming around a lot quicker. But I had to look it up, and apparently it was like somewhere between a little like 2.5 to almost 3 years since the last season. So when you have that gap, especially for a Netflix series, and Netflix, you know, like it's even these days, it's very rare for Netflix to greenlight anything more than 3 seasons, because, you know, they don't want to pay the contracts and everything. And they were starting to do this thing a lot with Stranger Things, where, you know how when you're supposed to do like a traditional season order, well, traditional for Netflix, but say you have a traditional season order of 12 episodes, right? Netflix was starting to milk it for all it was worth, where not only were the episodes were like 90 minutes long leading up to the 5th season, but they did them in halves. Like you'll get the first 6 episodes in one quarter of the year, and then they'll do the marketing to build up for the next quarter. So there'll be like part 1 and part 2 of season 3 or season 4. And I'm like, that's the loophole that they would use to extend the life of this show, because, well, we're not going to add another season. So what we're going to do is we're going to have them use more footage. We're going to give them half of it and then promote the other half and make them wait. So that was how they did their loophole. But again, my earlier point, when you have that gap of time, and it's probably just a me thing, because I know some people liked it and other people are in the same camp as I am, but I'm just like, character decisions were not making sense to me. Execution of action scenes, and you remember when I sent you a message at that point I knew that you hadn't watched the show, but I was trying to describe an action scene that involved one of the creatures in this series and the military. And I am one of the people that rarely brings up physics in anything. I try not to bring that into it, because I try not to be under the assumption that everybody knows how much everything weighs or how gravity and stuff works to a T. Like, we have a basic understanding, but I try not to go beyond what the basic understanding of, you know, real world logic is. But in this show, there are things that were happening where I'm just like, okay, so you mean to tell me that 8 soldiers have their guns trained on this one thing, and mind you, out of those 8 soldiers, there are 6 soldiers behind those soldiers, and they're all shooting at this thing at the same time in a circle. You mean to tell me they were all not hitting each other at any point? No friendly fire? Really? You think I wasn't going to notice that? And it would have been fine if it was like a once in a while, but no, they kept doing it over and over and over. I'm just like, y'all, this is worse than the bottled water Starbucks cup incident from Game of Thrones. But of course, nobody's going to talk about it because it's not that obvious. but fuck me, right?
Mm.
But yeah, that was just that's just me having a tiny little rant of my distaste for the final season.
Okay, that was final season. Yeah, so that's the physical media news. Also, as far as new movies that we saw over the past week, I did watch. Well, it's not new, but I watched Nomadland for the first time. That the Chloe Zhao movie that won Best Picture in 2020, and
Really? I
yeah,
thought you already saw
no,
it.
um,
Okay.
I watched it and I was like, it was so predictable where the protagonist was going to end up and why and where she was going to end up that
Yeah.
I thought it would have been better if it was just a documentary because the best parts about it were the non-actors telling their stories. And so it's like, why is this a narrative feature instead of a documentary? I wasn't really sure. And it was okay. Frances McDormand won Best Lead Actress for it, and David Strathairn in there is the other name. But again, the non-actors I thought stood out even more. And they did fictionalize little aspects of that, but I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of dull while I was watching it because it's like, or kind of bored while I was watching it because it's like, okay, she's going from one job to another, and it's mostly around the Midwest and Southwest. So it's not like we're getting to see too many gorgeous vistas for where they're going. And again, there wasn't really much story. It's like, yeah, she has a friendship and with this guy who kind of wants to be in a committed relationship with her, but she's not really going for it. And I don't know. I'd have to go back and check what it was up against for Best Picture, but I remember seeing better movies that year. So that was kind of disappointing. And then considering my thoughts on Eternals and Hamnet, I mean, I'm not on the Chloe Zhao train the way everybody else is.
Well, I know Nomadland came out around COVID times. I think it was in
Yeah,
September
yeah,
of
2020.
2020.
Yeah.
And a lot of movies, I mean, I think around September is when people were starting to go back to theaters in a very small outburst here and there. But a lot of movies that year were coming out on digital. And I know, let me see.
Oh, that's right,
I
because
know,
that year the eligibility also went into 2021 because of when theaters were reopening. So this officially released in theaters everywhere in February 2021. But
correct.
it premiered at TIFF in September 2020. But again, the eligibility was like 14 months that year, or 15 or 16 months because of COVID. So
Yeah, so Chloe, so as far as the awards were concerned, Best Picture, Nomadland won, and that was against The Father, Judas and the
great
Black
movie,
Messiah,
great
Mank,
movie, excellent.
Minari,
And
Promising
okay,
Young Woman,
it was good. Problems with it.
Sound of Metal,
Oh,
and
I
The
haven't seen that
Trial of
one.
the Chicago Seven.
Okay, so Trial of Chicago 7, that was a Netflix movie, and that's been done like a million times before, so I wasn't surprised that it didn't win. Sound of
That
Metal
was the
has
first
been
time.
it's hmm?
That was the first for me of
Oh,
that
okay.
story.
Yeah. Sound of Metal is a Prime Video movie, but it did get added to Criterion. But I heard it was very good, but I didn't see it. A Promising Young Woman was very striking, and I had issues with that because it's like, really, you want this lady who's been broken? The only way to get revenge is for her to die. It's like, really, that was I didn't care for that. Minari, I know there was a lot of buzz about it. I thought it was a little dull. It was kind of like almost like a day in the life of these immigrants who are working at the farm or whatever. But I didn't feel there was a strong story there, even though
Mhm.
he had the best supporting
It was
actress
more
win,
of an
which was
immigration. It was more of the American dream through the immigration point
yeah.
of view.
Mank, I really liked the cinematography, the story. Granted, it's like a companion piece to Citizen Kane because you have to kind of know all the inspiration points. But I thought that was really good, and I wish that had gone to Criterion because I would have picked that up. 'Cause that's also a Netflix movie. Uh, and then Judas and the Black Messiah was really good, and I would have given Judas and the Black Messiah over Nomadland easily. And The Father, of course, was excellent. That was the year the Oscars did that stupid decision where they decided to not announce. They decided that lead actor would be the last award of the night because everybody thought Chadwick Boseman was going to get it. And apparently, that's what every anonymous Oscar ballot said. They're like, "Well, we know Chadwick's going to win, so we're just going to vote for Anthony Hopkins because he gave the best performance." And I'm thinking, well, then how do you know the guy's going to win if you all say the same thing, that Hopkins is better? So of course Hopkins won. And there were like audible gasps in the audience, which I've never heard that before. When when they've announced a winner and it not being a mistake. But yeah, that kind of blew up in their face.
It's
So
one of
yeah,
those things where it's just like what is the controversy that they didn't award the dead guy, or is the controversy because of all the chatter in the background?
yeah, I think the controversy was that everybody just assumed it was going to go, because that was sort of the thing with the anonymous Oscar ballots. They said, "Oh, we know it's going to Chadwick because it's the last possible time we can honor him, and he was really good." But they thought Hopkins was the best, and frankly, you line up Hopkins not just against all of those nominees, but against the other Best Actor nominees and winners of the previous several years, and he still beat him by a mile with that movie. He was so good. Uh, so yeah, I wasn't crazy about Nomadland. It's like, uh, whatever, and people made a big
I
deal
also
about it.
feel I also feel that that year, and I do not mean this as a slight to all the movies and the performance, because a lot of the movies that were nominated or made the cut, I liked it, each one in their own way. Some I love, some I like, some I'm like, okay, that's fine. Or I really don't think twice about it, or stuff that I didn't see,
Mhm.
because a lot of the documentaries and short movies and all that stuff that come out, I never get to see them ever. And
Yeah,
I probably haven't seen a whole bunch of them. So I'm the last person who's going to discuss that category. But I feel that a lot of the movies that ended up at that year, it's because they were trying to, again, and I mean this not in a mean way, it was just like the perception, because a lot of stuff was coming out on digital and a lot of stuff was not coming out in theaters. I feel that this was scraping the barrel just to make an award and try to
yeah,
make something of it. Now, does that mean that the ones that made it do not deserve to be there? I'm not saying that they deserve to be there on their own merit, but it just feels like I feel and we can't predict this, obviously, but I think that year would have looked a lot different as far as the list is concerned had everything gone normal and we never had to deal with the pandemic, etc.
yeah.
Because remember, a lot of movies were pushed from the calendar for that year, so
That's right.
not so it would have been a very different year. But I know that Chloe Zhao won for Best Director against
Yeah,
Thomas Vinterberg for Another Round, David Fincher for Mank, Lee Isaac for Minari, and Emerald Fennell for Promising Woman. And you mentioned Promising Young Woman. I feel like that movie was trying to capitalize on a trend that we were trying to move away from, which was the hashtag Me Too, hashtag Time's Up. And I think the movie tried a little too hard. And that movie, outside of it getting awards nominations, that movie was also controversial, not because it existed, but because of the out of nowhere anger that came on social media because of one critic that reviewed the movie and kind of criticized the casting of its lead actress. What was her name?
Carey
Um,
Mulligan.
Carrie
Carey.
Mulligan. And yeah, Carrie Mulligan. And it's funny because the review came out way before the movie came out. Then, as the movie was about to come out, or around the time it came out and awards were about to start buzzing, she was on an interview, and then she brought up the critic that reviewed the movie, and then she was basically criticizing the critic for the perception of what, am I too old for the character, or am I not pretty enough to be the character, or something like that. And then it turned into a whole storm where instead of the publishing, I don't know if it was a Variety or Deadline or something like that, like instead of them sticking with their critic, they had to make them apologize for the critique and retract the review and make an edit of some sort. And I'm like, the fuck are you guys doing? Whatever happened to sticking to your guns? Okay, so she didn't like the review, so fucking what?
I'm not familiar with this controversy, so I'd have to go back and read it.
Well, controversy by Hollywood standards is,
Well, I know,
it's
but I'm
over
not.
in 70.
I'm not
But
familiar with it at all.
yeah, it was just one thing that kind of rubbed me the wrong way with a lot of stuff that was happening, because hey, I get it. A lot of stuff topics and everything were very touchy, especially with the topics that Promising Young Woman was touching upon. But I was like, man, I get it that sometimes critic can be harsh, and a lot of times actors they always tell them, "Hey, don't read the reviews because you're gonna be, you're not gonna be happy when you read the reviews. Just be happy with the work you did." But at the same time, it's just like, hey, yeah, critics are gonna be dicks, but you don't have to, let it be, let it go. And then they made a whole stink of it, and I'm like, it
Well,
wasn't
what
the
was he
the whole stink that bothered me.
what was he
I don't
criticizing?
I don't know it verbatim, and I'm not gonna look it up. I just know that they had to make the person who reviewed it retract it and make an apology for criticizing her for whatever it was. And I'm just like, since when has that happened before? I mean, a retraction is I get a retraction, but a retraction sometimes is because they got their facts wrong or they lied about something, but not because, oh well, that thing you said months ago that nobody gave a shit about, yeah, people are starting to talk about it, so we need you to go in there and retract it or make an apology.
Mm,
Again,
let's
the review
see.
came out months before the buzz for Oscar. So
Okay, I don't know. It's
yeah, but that's not we're not
hopefully.
gonna dive into it. That was just an aside.
I don't know why you brought. I don't know why you brought it up because it doesn't really have to do with it being
Well,
up for
because
best picture.
we started talking about that year and it stuck to me when I realized, oh yeah, Promising Young Woman. Wait, I don't remember it. Oh yeah, I guess it was.
Another round should have
And I
been
thought
in
the movie
that
was
list.
the movie
So
was
one.
fine, but it was just a little too on the nose with the whole thing where I'm just like, okay, movie, I know what the fuck you're doing. All right, calm the
Yeah,
fuck
they
down.
only nominated 8 films that year. They should have put Another Round and Riders of Justice up for Best Picture. Both of those would have been great winners. But oh well.
Yeah.
I also saw The Secret Agent with Wagner Moura, and God, it's got a very
And
punishing
Bruce,
runtime of 2 hours 41 minutes.
Bruce, and
Huh?
Bruce. Did you see Bruce? And did you see
I
Bruce?
did, I did, and I gotta say, I think this movie's way overhyped. It just like nothing happens in this movie. It's like okay, we get the guys on the run from the egomania of a corrupt technocrat, and it's like I love the Jaws references and how the movie's commenting on how actual myth making is interfering with reality of what's going on, like how the cops disposed of a body, a shark got a hold of it, but nobody's talking about why the shark was even able to get the body because they're distracted by the movie Jaws and they're not realizing that the secret police did this. And then the idea that the hairy leg attacks, which is like a real thing, where they used that as a cover story to explain how the police were going around and assaulting people. And it's like, okay, those are good bits, and I like how the grandparents are raising the kid, and he works at the cinema. But I'm watching this, and it goes on, and I'm waiting for something to happen. And you got these two assassins who are being sent after him, but nothing ever really happens. And the director made a very deliberate choice, artistic choice at the end of this movie,
Oh
which
yeah, here we go.
which reminded me of what Scorsese did with Killers of the Flower Moon, where after sitting there for over 3 hours, it's like, no, I've been spending, because for that movie, if you guys haven't seen it, the first 2 hours are the murders, and and you already know the who, what, when, where, why, how, because it's from the perspective of the killers, and then the last hour is the investigation and trial, but then they cut it off before the end of that because Scorsese wanted to make it seem, darker because even though they were all convicted, they didn't stay in prison very long. He wanted it to feel, sadder, understandably. But it still felt like you're a rug pull out from under you when you're getting to the end of this whole third hour of your movie. And the director here made a very similar choice where we're just following this lead character for so long, going through, waiting for something to happen, and then he does something. And I was like, no, you don't do
Yeah,
that, especially
yeah,
after the way the climax goes for this movie. And while I admit this would
yeah,
be a good double feature with I'm Still Here because they're both about the Brazilian dictatorship, I
yeah,
still I felt the runtime on this, and I thought Wagner Moore was good. I didn't think it was best lead actor good, where like he won at the Golden Globes, which is a more international thing. I don't know. I just wasn't as won over by the performance as some others who didn't get nominated this year. Uh, but yeah, you take it away. You know what I'm talking about in terms of the end.
yeah. I think it was a few streams ago that I had brought up that I was able to watch the Secret Agent, and I was trying not to spoil it, and I did talk about that. Yeah, I can see why he got nominated. At least for me, I can see why he got nominated because it was a very human story, very grounded. And I did get a kick out of the references to Jaws because the events of this movie were taking place when Jaws, the original, was being released, and his son was, which I found that endearing, but also weird because I've never seen a kid excited to see a shark movie. That felt very foreign to me because I'm like, the only way that I could buy it was being excited to watch Jurassic Park for the first time. But Jaws gave everybody nightmares. So when you see a kid getting excited for Jaws, hey, Dad, can you take me to see it? I want to go. And Dad's like, no, I don't want him to see that. That's going to be too violent. Yeah, but he wants to go see it. Like, he doesn't seem like he's going to saw it. So I thought that was a bit charming. And as the movie's going, it's throwing some breadcrumbs into what's going on, and it isn't until the 30 or 40 minutes in that you finally understand why it's called the secret agent, what he's doing there in Brazil, why in the first few minutes he's very skeptical about who he's talking about when he's getting his car serviced at that little run-of-the-mill gas station that I would never have stopped there, number one, but okay, here we are. And when they start getting all these details, that's when my attention is hooked. I'm like, okay, I'm into this. I am following this guy's story, and I want to see where it's going to go. Here's the thing. I wasn't feeling the runtime until, and this is the irony of it all, because I didn't spoil it when I discussed it the first time. I didn't feel the runtime until they did that stupid B plot with the severed leg. I felt that came out of nowhere. That had nothing to do with the tone of the movie. It would be one thing if you just show the clips of the movie where the newspaper clippings of the leg, and people are talking about the leg that was walking around and kicking people and stuff. It's one thing to show the newspaper clipping. It's another to dramatize it. Because when that scene happened, I thought the projector started, because there was like this vibration happening in that scene, and I thought the projector was moving or something, and all of a sudden a new movie was starting, and I'm like, am I still watching the same movie? And when that happened, I'm like, what the fuck am I watching? No, seriously, what the fuck am I watching? What does this have to do with our main character trying to get some information to get himself out of Brazil and from these assassins after him? Why did we stop the movie, halted it dead cold to do this bit?
Well, I mean, he was asking him about it, and they talked about it, so it segues into, that sequence.
No, yeah, it's segueing it, but they actually filmed the leg coming to life.
Yeah, I know.
And doing that shit. That had no business being in this movie. And at that point, you literally ripped me out of my attention span for this movie that I was already hooked on, and then you just kicked me in the face, quite literally, with that severed leg scenario. And then with the metaphors of kicking you while you're down, you said pulling the rug out of you. I think somebody came in with the cornfield sigh and just slit me at the kneecaps with what they did in the finality of this movie, where I'm just like, what the fuck? Really? That's how you're choosing to end this?
Yeah, I didn't like that choice at all. And
like, even if it was going to happen the same way, even if the character was going to end in that same spot, which, spoilers for those who haven't seen it, the Wagner Moura character dies. He never makes it to his son. He never makes it to the airport. But it's just boom, he's dead. That's it. Everything in between. Exactly. It's in the newspaper. The one thing you should have showed me, the one thing you should have dramatized, but no, show me the severed leg coming to life. That's what you thought it was a good idea to show me.
Yeah, and another thing is they imply that his wife was probably murdered. But they never
heavily implied.
Yeah, but they don't want to show that. But they keep pushing. I get the whole myth making with the jaws and the leg thing, but it's like when we get to the climax, it's kind of like, the assassins pick. Since we're going into full spoiler territory now, the assassins pick this other guy to carry out the crime for them, but one of them insults the guy of being lesser type of person, and he gets pissed off about that. So when he goes to the ID card business where Wagner Moura's character works, he sort of gets surprised by these two guys. He shoots them, flees, and he lies in wait because he's smart enough to know that the guys who employed him were going to try and kill him. And so he ambushes and kills the guy. And I admit it was kind of neat how I was kind of rooting for this guy who just shot two innocent people to get that prick who was, talking down to him and all that. But it's like, okay, how is this going to ring back around to what happens to, our character back at, our protagonist? And then it jumps back ahead to the Frame story, which didn't even start as a Frame story because you start just in 1975. And then randomly at various points in the movie, it starts jumping ahead to the present day. I'm like, wait, what's going on? And so when you see it jump ahead and you see the newspaper clipping where he's been shot dead in the street, I'm like, wait, who did it? I don't think the killer came back around to that business. Probably not, especially after killing one of his employers. So what happened? Oh, we don't know. And it's like, we've been with this guy for so long, waiting to get some type of resolution, or what's he going to get? And we're not going to give you that. And it's like, why not? It's like, you want us to feel the oppression of the revolution, or of the dictatorship. And we've been following this guy for so long, and we see the strain it's putting on his family, but you're not going to bring that to its dramatic conclusion. And instead, you're going to jump ahead where you had this really off-putting thing where they cast him out Wagner Moura to also play the adult son, which really threw me off and was just kind of weird. And for a second, I actually thought, wait a minute, is the movie trying to tell me that he faked his death or something? It's like, no, it's the other guy. And they end it the way they end it there. And it's like, it's like, what was the thinking for having it go off in that direction? I don't know.
Yeah, and even if he was playing his son as an adult, I'm thinking, wait, this kid was what, 7, 8 years old? And
yeah,
the present time is a little bit more modern. I'm like, does he look the proper age that they're trying to do? Like, that kind of confused me a little bit. So I'm like, okay.
Because they never really said what year it was exactly at the end.
Yeah, but I was letting myself being guided by the girl that was looking into it. Because the movie all of a sudden shows her in the media lab looking at old clippings and microfilm, where I'm just like, well, this looks like at least mid to late 2010s at minimum.
Well, how old is Wagner Moura? I think he kind of would be the right age then to play the adult version. I just thought it was
looking at, it's just that the side of the character's hair were starting to show salt and pepper a lot. So I'm just like, wait, how old are you supposed to be here? If you were born in the 70s, I mean, yeah, I can maybe see you being in your early 40s, but what year are we in right now?
I got some gray hairs coming into the front. You can't see it.
I do too. I'm just saying that it was one of those things where I'm just like, wait, how old are you in real life to play yourself as a kid?
Okay, so he's 50 this year. So he was 49 when they made the movie, 48 or 49 when they made the movie.
Okay. Yeah, all right. Now, again, it's not the end all, because the real criticism is the other stuff. That really is the criticism.
Yeah, that just threw me off that they cast him. And again, it's like, why did you choose to go in this direction for your climax? Because I feel like the movie's got to be going somewhere. And it's like, are we going to get, like, I thought we were going to build to a more conclusive flashback about what happened to his wife. And maybe that would cross over with something at the airport when he's getting away from those assassins. But no, they just did that. I'm like, what is this? Sorry, because they have the whole subplot where the chief of police befriends him, and he knows the guy's an asshole because the chief of police is too stupid to know that the German guy, Udo Kier, in his last role, was actually a German Jewish guy, not a Nazi, and yet the chief of police is sympathetic towards him because he thinks he's a Nazi. And it's like, the guy's such an asshole. And I thought maybe that plot will go somewhere. No, it doesn't really go anywhere. So it was just a series of these disappointments of things setting up that aren't really going anywhere, and I was disappointed.
Yeah, I think those two things for me. I mean, again, I don't think the movie is bad. I just think the creative choices, what brought it down to, you had me and you lost me, and anything after that, I don't care. Like it is an astounding achievement on a creative level for you to have my attention and all of a sudden just grab me by the ear and with 500 pounds of torque just rip it off because you thought that, oh, you like what's happening? You like what's happening? Watch this. I saw a movie in the movie theaters. I saw Crime 101.
Oh, really?
And I loved it.
Oh, really?
I loved it. It was a surprising experience by way of a movie like this. usually, because of the cast that's on it, and when you look at the trailers and where it's being released in early to mid-February, because January and February lately have been a dumping ground and you rarely see anything that's like a diamond in the rough. This one was a diamond in the rough. It reminded me of Heat. It reminded me of Heat. It had that, it had a hook where I'm just like, I've seen this stuff before, because you got a thief, you got a cop, you have a femme fatale, you have the all these things happening, and the characters at some point are going to meet. All of it I could tell just by watching the trailer, but but the but the interactions, the execution, I'm like, this reminds me of Heat. I'm not saying it's as good as Heat. I'm just saying it's on the level of Heat by way of, this feels great. This feels great. It feels wonderful. I'm in it. I'm in it. I was in it from start to finish. I liked every moment of it. I like the characters. I like the motivations. Have we been here before? Yes. But do I still like it? Yes. I like the Ruffalo character. I like that whole bit with the smoothies and the yoga and the yoga studio. I the only thing I found a little bullshit, and it's because it's a movie, so I have to take it for what it is. But the one bullshit is that there was a subplot with the Halle Berry character where she basically works for a firm that provides security for high-end clientele that will pay a pretty penny for a security system for a lot of their prized possessions, and it's part of the main plot of the movie. But her B plot is that she's been at this security firm for what, 11 years. She's in her early 50s in the movie,
53.
and in the entirety that she's been there, she's been trying to make partner. And when you make partner, that means that you've proven that you have all the clients. Look at all these contracts I have. Look at all the money I brought in. And she hasn't made partner. And it's that kind of telltale, yeah, we'll think about it in the next quarter. And the next quarter comes and it comes and nothing happens. And then she makes this comment about, yeah, I'm a woman in my 50s. And clearly a woman in her 50s is not going to be sexy anymore. And I'm just like, okay, pause. In any other scenario, that comment might hold water to bitch about, but you're fucking Halle Berry. If a woman like Halle Berry, hang on, if a woman like Halle Berry, even in her 50s, is working for me or is giving me, security service, whatever, yes, please. I want her to come back and show me the contract, and I want her to read the contract to me slowly. Okay? That's the only bullshit reason. I'm just like, really? That woman you're not going to say no yes to?
Well, I mean, her boss was the one who was telling her that. She didn't consider that of herself.
No, I know, but it's just that it's Halle Berry.
Right, but I think the idea is the guy's an asshole because she mistakenly thinks that his mistress is his daughter.
Again, I know. I'm not disputing it, but it's Halle Berry. That it's gonna be like, yeah, no, it's Halle Berry. That doesn't make sense to me whatsoever. In any scenario, you're not gonna pass her over. You're not gonna criticize her for being in her 50s. You want her to be in your 50s because she's gonna look that good. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying, yeah, fuck no. But I like the action. I like the tension in some of the heist scenes. I especially like the what's his name? Barry Keoghan. I liked him as the loose cannon,
Psycho.
per se, the psycho. And I like that Nick Nolte. Honestly, I miss old Nick Nolte where he did more than just, because that's what he sounds like these days. I'm just like, oh, Nick. I like the last time Nick Nolte turned in a performance that I really liked when he played Tom Hardy's father in The Fighter. No, not The Fighter.
Warrior.
What's Warrior? Yeah, Warrior. Like when he didn't sound.
Yeah. I just feel that movie, it's trying so hard to be Heat, and don't invoke a movie you can't match, because the thing with Heat is that it explodes at the halfway point with that heist sequence, and the entire rest of the movie is the fallout from how the heist goes, and the rest of the movie takes place on the same day. and it's really suspenseful, and so it earns that 2 hour 45-minute runtime. Whereas here, it's excluding trailers and credits. The movie itself is 2 hours 16 minutes long, and I was waiting for something to go wrong, and it kind of doesn't. I guess we could talk spoilers for the hell of it, because if you've seen this movie, if you wanted to see it, you've already seen it. So when Halle Berry gets attacked by Barry Keoghan's character, I thought, okay, now we're going to kick the movie into high gear. But I was surprised that unless she didn't have a way to, like, after she contacted Chris Hemsworth and told him, okay, I'm in, I guess he didn't give her a way to contact him again, because instead of warning him, she goes to the cop instead and just confesses everything, which I thought, really? I thought that kind of surprised me. And
I think she felt more comfortable with the cop, mainly because it's a cop and she doesn't know, like, she was already stalked by the thief basically, and she didn't know what he was capable of, because maybe he was a threat. Now granted, she was going to work with him to get back at her superiors, but I think she was more doing it out of a passionate reaction than really thinking things through. And when she got attacked, she's like, hold on, stop, shit just got real, I don't want anything to do with this. Oh fuck no, I have no idea why I thought this was a good idea. And I totally buy that she would go to the Ruffalo character than going back to the Hemsworth character.
Another thing they dropped conveniently is, they're the first heist at the beginning of the movie, and they keep grilling the guy thinking that he set this up on his own for the insurance payout, and he's mad because he thinks they're racially profiling him and stuff. And it's like, trying to I know the cops will let Barry Keoghan's character take the fall, because Ruffalo's boss is like, dude, we need to add black names to the board. We can't keep the names in the red. We're not doing this. But that's not going to work when they put this guy's face up there and say, okay, this is the guy. It's like, his physique doesn't come anywhere near close to matching the guy who ripped off the guys from the beginning. And it's like, that's not going to fly. But I guess the movie just kind of forgets it. It's like, whatever. So that I thought was a little, it's like, I mean, I saw something similar with that movie.
They actually filmed. I wouldn't be surprised if they actually filmed footage to address the corruption in the department. But I guess the studio didn't want the movie to be 2 hours and 30 minutes in a February release date. So let's just cut that out and just keep it simple.
Yeah, and then because it reminded me of that Denzel Washington movie, The Little Things, where at the end of the movie he wants Rami Malek to feel better about maybe killing an innocent guy, so he sends him this fake evidence that he claimed he found from the apartment, the hair berets that the victims were wearing. I'm like, okay, that'll work for like a couple of days, but when there's more murders, it's clearly from the same guy, that's not going to work. And so I kind of thought there's a little there, and I still liked it. It's just, I think the fact that the marketing and the press junket especially, they kept talking about Heat nonstop. And it's like, okay, you're trying too hard. This better live up to this. And then it didn't. But I still enjoyed it. I gave it 3.5 out of 5. But it's like, don't invoke movies like that unless you can actually really
Well, to be fair, I didn't listen to most of the press junkets, so I invoked it myself because that's what it reminded me of.
Now, it is a shame that the movie flopped. It made only like $65 million, I think, against a $90 million budget, which sucks because I like LA crime movies like that. We need more of them, and this is just gonna. I mean, granted, a lot of the budget was probably towards the talent that they had, and then of course it's more expensive.
It's a great fucking talent. It is a great fucking talent. I was surprised because I'm like, wait, who's in this movie? And you look at this, I'm like, holy shit, that is a cast. Like, forget the memes that are going to come out of it because you got Storm, Hulk, and Thor in the movie. But it's like, okay. Oh, wait, you got two Hulks. You got two Hulks, basically. You have the father to the Hulk from the original Ang Lee Hulk, and then you have Hulk from Buffalo.
I didn't think about all the Marvel connections with that.
Even though Nick Nolte played the Abomination in that movie.
And you got Barry Keoghan, who was in Eternals.
Exactly, Barry Keoghan from the Eternals. Wait, no, not Abomination. He was the Absorption Man. Either way, it's Hulk adjacent.
Whoever it is. Yeah.
It's Hulk adjacent.
And the director did a good job with it, even though it's like his third movie, so that was pretty impressive. But
I was surprised just because it didn't feel like a dumping ground movie. It felt like, wait, why are you here? Shouldn't it be like more in the fall? You should have been.
Yeah, I didn't
This movie should have
understand the
been.
logic.
Oh,
I think I thought it was supposed to come out last fall. Maybe they pushed it for some reason. I don't know, but that was very
yeah,
surprising.
definitely doesn't fall in the summer vibe, but definitely falls in like the August September crowd, more or less, something like that.
Yeah. Did you see any other new movies this week?
I was supposed to watch Wuthering Heights, but I had to bail on it to get home to do something. So I might watch it eventually, but I was supposed to like double feature it, but no.
Yeah, and I didn't get out
Oh,
to see Project.
I did watch something else. I did. Hang on. Let me pull up my letterbox. Trusty letterbox. Not a
Yeah,
promotion, but
excluding from the pile because we're not there yet. So
yeah, we're
another big
building
thing
up
to
to.
talk about before then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As I'm looking for my list. Movies watched 2026.
You have a diary that checks that automatically, but yeah.
Yeah. I did watch the Netflix movie that I mentioned in our Batman episode review, which was Alan Ritson in Netflix action movie War Machine, which Alan Ritson, I like him. And the premise of the movie, because it's got Alan Richardson, it's got Dennis Quaid in the movie in a side role, and it also has Esai Morales, again, another side role, not really a integral one. But this movie, War Machine, I know you don't have access to Amazon Prime, but this movie reminded me of the Chris Pratt movie that came out a few years ago, The Tomorrow War, where it's an alien invasion and they are sending
Oh,
soldiers.
a friend sent me a digital copy of that because Amazon made it available elsewhere.
Yeah, which was like soldiers from the future, or yeah, soldiers from the future had to go to the past to maybe try to change or rewrite history or something like that. This one is an adjacent alien invasion movie because the plot is that you have these soldiers in the army that are going to the special ops training camp in Colorado, and only the best of the best out of hundreds of applicants are going to make the final cut. And if you make the final cut, you get this patch that kind of makes you like a big deal, kind of like the Green Berets or the Marines and stuff like that of the army and stuff like that. So out of all the applicants, you kind of have like a dozen of them, more or less. And the mission is that it's a training exercise. You have to go to find this down aircraft. You have to blow it up away from enemy hands. And they're going to basically pretend, kind of like a Civil War reenactment. They're going to pretend to be attacked by insurgents. They're going to have fireworks and fake mortars and blanks shot at them. Basically, how they react in a high intense situation for a mission like that they will eventually have to do in the future should they earn their stripes in a way. And the thing is that earlier in the movie, there's talking about this asteroid that's circling the moon and stuff like that. And it's kind of like a background thing. But the first 15, 20 minutes is more of a human story where the Alan Ritson character, Jai Courtney plays his brother. There was an incident in Afghanistan, I believe, or it was Iraq, more or less. And it's his motivation for being in this training program. And as they're going to do their mission, at nighttime, as is predicted, as you're expecting, a meteor comes down, but it happens like so quickly that people think it's part of the training exercise. And when they find the quote unquote aircraft that they have to blow up and not let it, get into enemy lines, they see it and it's the alien aircraft, and they're like, wow, that thing looks very sleek. They must have really gone all out with the special effects for this mission. And then they load this thing up with all the C4 they brought with them, and they ignite it. They barely make a scratch, and the thing wakes up and it starts mowing them down. And the design of this thing looks like you're crossing Ed 209 with a transformer. And
Wait,
the whole time I'm looking at it.
Oh yeah. What? No, never mind. Yeah.
And the whole time I'm laughing, oh man, this thing looks like Ed 209 if he was on steroids. Because the thing looks like very square, like this. And he's going to go. And everybody's fucked because they don't have any actual weapons. They have to run away from this thing. And I mentioned before that it had like a Predator vibe to it because it scans the area, and if it scans anything that looks remotely alive and not part of the cold, then it's one of those things where it's just like, oh, you're dead. And action wise is okay, but at some point it feels like, okay, guys, wrap it up. There's only so much you can, like, there's this chase scene where it reminded me of the Jason Momoa and Dave Bautista action movie I talked about before, um, where it looks very, very heavy on the visual effects, and it's one of those things where you have to like stop and be like, okay, there is no way anyone in this scenario should have survived this because of what was happening, and I'm not going to spoil it, but it's one of those things that you just have to like really, really suspend your disbelief for it. And then the reason why I brought this up with comparing it to the Tomorrow War is because in the last 8 minutes after it's resolved, this thing was not an isolated incident. All of a sudden, it becomes a worldwide incident. And I don't know if they're basically doing it for a sequel or what, but it felt like, yeah, no, I'm done. No, you did too much, guys. You did too much. But for the most part, if there's any kudos I can give to it, it gives you what it promoted. I just wish it would have ended earlier. So I feel like a 2.5 out of 5. It's like, you know what? You're not going to be bored by it, but you're going to roll your eyes at some parts.
Next, we have the other big event, the Oscars. And
the Oscar results.
I thought they were pretty predictable for the most part. Conan was okay. I like the bit where they're making fun of Netflix for trying to instruct people to put as much expository dialogue as possible, and it actually prompted a response from Netflix. They're like, "Oh, that's absurd. We never would say that of him." It's like, well, Matt Damon already said you did. It's like, yeah. And other people as far back as 2019.
Not only did Matt Damon say it, but all the trades ran with it.
Yeah, and it was also reported as far back as 2019. So it's like, oh, they're trying to say we would never hobble a creative like that. It's like, yeah, you would.
Yeah, and so the movie that they were promoting, and the movie that they were promoting that he was talking about that, if you look at the movie, how many times do they repeat the plot? A lot.
Probably a lot, yeah. I watched, since I don't have Netflix, I watched one of those YouTube watch-alongs, and it covered enough of it that even with the watch-along where they can't show you much because of copyright, I still understood everything because of how many clips they're just saying. Yeah, so I thought that bit was funny. The thing where they're making fun of putting movies on cell phones, I thought that was really funny.
Yeah.
But for the most part,
I think my favorite running gag with Conan hosting anything, because he hosts the cold open for this movie where he's basically spoofing all the movies that are being nominated, and he's basically playing the witch character from Weapons, and he's running from one movie to the other being chased by the kids. That took me back to when he hosted the Emmys. Right. When he hosted the Emmys, and he did the same thing. He was jumping from Lost, House, 24. I'm like, oh my God, yes, I am in. I love that cold opening. It reminded me of vintage comedy for Conan at the time. I'm like, yes, I like Conan. Not all his jokes land, but when they do, they're mwah. Especially when he did the whole thing about how the Oscars were being streamed across the whole world, and he started talking in Spanish for the different Latin countries listening, and it's all Spanish, and then at the end of the joke, and for our viewers in Los Angeles, gracias por ustedes, por favor, atender a los Oscars este año, por favor, téngase y esperen que todo va a estar bien. And I just lost it because I'm just like, where is it? Here it comes. I just thought that was vintage Conan. I liked it.
Yeah, that was good. And I thought it was sort of a really bad fuck up that when they did the whole bridesmaids thing, and I'm like, you realize that the jokes they told in that little bit were funnier than anything in that movie, right? It's like, but I don't think they realized that. So that bit I thought was funny. Stellan Skarsgård giving notes, and Benicio del Toro was like, "Come on, wrap it up." It's like, yeah, it is getting long. The only two surprises of the night for me were the tie in live action shorts. And I liked that Kumail Nanjiani made the joke that, isn't it funny, the live action shorts are going to take twice as long as any other category tonight because they had to run through it both. And then casting, I thought was definitely going to go to Sinners. I was shocked that went to One Battle. I thought Sinners had that one bagged, and it's like, I was like, really? I guess that was
You know what was
going to the
funny
one the
about
Academy liked more.
you
Hmm?
know what was funny about the actors presenting the nominees for casting, and they had like one
Hmm.
actor from each movie basically
Yeah,
blow smoke up the casting directors.
yeah.
When it came to Delroy Lindo,
Oh
when it
yeah.
came to Delroy Lindo, and as he was about to talk, Wagner Mora still had something else to say, so he interrupted him. And as soon as Delroy Lindo went like this, I started laughing because it felt to me like Delroy Lindo was having PTSD from the Tourette's incident at the
Right.
Baptist. Because you could see Delroy Lindo's face like, the fuck did you just interrupt me for?
And you could see the disappointment on his face when they were walking off stage because it didn't go to Sinners. It's like, oh, I felt bad for him because he's great. That would have been great if he had won the Oscar for supporting actor. I love him, and he's
And
overdue. And
the thing is that I felt that he should have won for The Five Bloods. He was the best actor
he
in
should.
that
Oh yeah,
movie.
he was the best actor in that movie. I think Hopkins still would have beat him out, but he was. I thought he was runner up. I thought he was better than Bozeman.
I don't think he was even
Who were runner
nominated.
up.
Was he even
No, he
nominated?
didn't get nominated. No,
Exactly. That's why I think that he should have been nominated and should have won for whatever category he would have put it
he
in,
said
whether
that
it was supporting
he
or
and
best.
he said that he and Spike Lee had conversations about that after the nominations came out, and they had specific theories as to why that didn't happen, but they were not willing to publicly share what those reasons were. So they apparently think there was something behind that. It's not like the Academy just forgot about it. Like there was a reason they did that, which is kind of messed up. But I because it was a shame because Kieran Culkin comes out and he's like, "Oh yeah, it's Sean Penn," and I guess he's not here or he didn't want to be here. And it's like, yes, I
Yeah.
know that
I'm still
Sean Penn was
wondering
far and
about
away.
was that part of the bit, or did he just throw him
He
under
just
the
made that.
bus?
I think he just made that up on the spot because, like he said at first, oh, he couldn't be here tonight, but then he stops himself because I think he realized it was just absurd to say that because he'd been skipping all the ceremonies. Like, or he just didn't want to be because he was actually on his way to Europe to meet Zelensky again. And it's like, I get it, you should give Oscars to the people who were the best, but at the same time, if it's somebody who has so much contempt for the ceremony and doesn't give two fucks about it, and even gave away his previous Oscar to Zelensky, then it's like, couldn't you give it to somebody who's actually there, who actually cares, who's going to actually help their career?
Well, better yet, and I'm not gonna get into it, but it's just like, you know what? If that's the case, then don't nominate him. Granted, I
Right?
said he should. I said that his nomination was deserved because he was to me the best actor
Yeah,
in performance for One Battle After Another. He was the best part of it, period. But if that's the case, then just don't nominate him. And not only
yeah,
don't nominate him, but then don't give it to him if you know he's not going to be there.
yeah. That was this. It was disappointing because I thought that was a stacked race, and for the guy who's won, it's not even that. It's like I thought that was just a real bummer. Uh,
Yeah.
because I would have loved it if Delroy or even because Stellan had never been nominated before either. Like if Delroy or Stellan or even Del Toro had won that, I mean, man.
Yeah.
So that was supremely disappointing. Speaking of disappointing, I have not gotten the chance to see Sentimental Value yet because it's going to drop on Hulu on Monday. So I wish they did the Monday before the Oscars instead of the Monday after, but or the second Monday after. But whatever. Oh, hello Bentley.
He's being needy right now.
I gotta say, I wasn't surprised that Michael B. Jordan won either. I saw that. I thought that was going to happen because he's been giving Oscar-winning performances and everything for going back to The Wire in 2002, even though that's TV. And I thought he was a much more humble guy. He didn't really campaign for it. I thought that would be a great, not just a storyline. He was so good in that movie, and I thought he was going to get it, particularly after Momentum. And so I loved the reaction. Seemed really uproarious. Like everybody just loved that, and I think they loved it more than if Chalamet or somebody else were to have won that night.
Yeah.
So he gave a really great speech, and
I think my favorite part of the speech was probably the most genuine, because I'm not saying that there was not genuine moments at the Oscars, and even though it could have gone to anybody, and I really wouldn't have made a fuss over it, my favorite part was probably like the most human reaction you could probably get for winning something, even if you didn't see it coming yourself as the actor. that he is. It's like, hey, mom, what's up? Like when he said
Yeah,
that, I was like, Michael, if ever there was a moment to show just how genuine a reaction is to
yeah,
winning something, that had to be the one. It's like, hey, mom, what's up? It's like, mom, I made it. That was basically what he said. Like, mom, I made it.
yeah. His dad flew in from Africa to be there too, and he took
Yeah,
pictures of him afterwards, and that was really cool. And somebody pointed out that his dad's name is Michael A. Jordan, and then his is Michael B. So it's like that's got to become a thing now.
oh no, yeah. I think I commented on that. Did I comment that on you? Where I says like, you
I
know
think you
what?
did.
This was a moment where I read that, and I'm just like, this has to be the birth of a new Hollywood dynasty. Every
Yeah.
every male heir of this family, even if they go to Hollywood in any capacity, working in the business, has to be called Michael Jordan, and the middle name has to be every letter of the alphabet until you
Yes.
get to Z.
Yes. But yeah, that was a really great speech. And he went to In-N-Out later, and I saw behind the scenes of that where they're just mobbed by so many people who were there, and he had guys standing with him
That
around the
was
table
probably
so he
the
could
most
actually enjoy his
In
food.
and Out in that location got that night.
Yeah, he had people there to make sure that he could actually sit down and enjoy the food rather
Yeah.
than being completely mobbed.
I wonder
Uh,
how restrained he was eating, because when I go to In and Out, and I know In and Out is very good, I eat like a motherfucker.
yeah.
I devour the shit out of those
I
burgers.
saw in
So
the picture he had like 2 burgers there with the 2 fries and the drink.
yeah, but he wasn't stuffing his face like the way I know he probably
Yeah.
would if not that many people were there, especially the cameras and social media.
So here's something else. So on the back of his neck, he had this pin,
Hmm.
and apparently it was a jeweler from a jeweler that Chadwick Boseman was a big fan of.
Yeah.
And uh, Ryan Coogler's been working on this script for years now, before he actually made the movie. And I heard that the original intention was for Jordan and Boseman to play the twins in that movie before, as like fraternal twins or whatever, before Boseman died. And then they decided to just have it be Jordan. And I read that and I thought, because he saw the reaction also that he had when he won, and he had worn that pin on his on the front through all the other award ceremonies, but on that one he wore it on the back, and I thought that was kind of interesting. And he was probably thinking about that too when he was up there giving the speech. Uh, so that was like a really added to that moment, which was really cool. Um, I also loved it that when they won cinematography, Ryan Coogler jumps up and is more excited for a cinematographer than she was. And he ran to one of the upper tiers to bring her son up close so that he could actually hear her give the speech, which I thought was really cool. Uh, and then seeing Paul Thomas Anderson finally get his flowers, and the first thing he says is like, "Man, you sure make a guy work hard for one of these." And the first one he won was for screenplay. And I don't know if you noticed, but the entire time his hands keep going like this. Like he keeps pawing it, holding it, and just barely towards the end of his first speech, his voice started like trembling a bit. Like you could tell that meant a lot to him, and I love that when
Yeah.
like not in an overreaction when people are like, you like me" or whatever, but like when that was really good, and I love that.
Yeah, it really kind of stood out as one of those ceremonies that, because I only started watching the Oscars like in the around the time that Avatar and the Hurt Locker came out, so that's when I really started watching them from start to finish. And you can pinpoint a lot of genuine moments leading up to tonight from when I started watching them. And I think now that we're reflecting on it, this night had a lot of really standout human reactions that you can see the surprise, you can see the happiness that, yeah, I know in the grand scheme of things, these awards really don't matter. But for that one night in the little bubble of Hollywood, it mattered to a lot of the people that won and nominated. And it felt like a breath of fresh air in a way.
Yeah. I've been watching him since probably the mid '90s. My parents used to watch him, so I would watch him all the time. Uh, and I think one of the things they need to do, I know back then they used to put it on at like the end of March or even getting into April. I think they
Yeah.
should move it up a lot sooner than that because it just started.
It'll be on YouTube, so it's not gonna matter 4 years from now.
No, I meant not. like necessarily the length of the show. I meant like not having it in mid-March.
Oh
Like
no,
move
yeah,
it up much sooner than that. Because it's like it used to be the media didn't really talk about all the other guild awards, but now they do all the time. And so it
yeah,
just feels like as a viewer that there's so much more awards fatigue by the time you get to the Oscars. That just uh yeah, so that was, whatever. Uh yeah, so I think I'm surprised One Battle got best editing. I myself would have given that to Marty Supreme. Um but yeah, all around pretty predictable show this year.
yeah. And then lastly, the other two things we want to talk about is some trailers that came out recently.
Yes, I almost forgot about that. So the first one, yeah,
Nisagaib!
Dune 3 looked, it looked as good as the trailers for the first two. Looks like more of the same, except it's a 17-year time jump. Uh, and I think my favorite part of it was when he's trying to invoke how he's trying to obey, go by his father or whatever, and his mom's like, "Well, your father never started a war."
Yeah,
uh, What'd you think of that trailer?
it's gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. It's one thing I'll say about this series of films. If it sticks to landing, it'll definitely be one of the most beautiful, if not the most beautiful looking trilogy since The Lord of the Rings.
Mm-hmm.
I have, again, I've not read the books, and I know a lot of people have mixed feelings of Dune Messiah, which this movie is being heavily influenced by. But like the last two movies, they've hit the mark for me. If this one hits the mark, perfect trilogy for me. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I thought the second one was significantly better than the first, but I still felt like I wasn't emotionally connecting with any of the characters, and that they're just kind of going through the motions. And I just got annoyed with Shawnee in the second one because she's just basically stating the themes out loud all the time, because Denis Villeneuve apparently has a lot of contempt for the intelligence of his audience because he doesn't trust us to be smart enough to pick up on the obvious, and that just really
Well, he is French
irritates me.
Canadian. So.
Yeah, and it's like when
That,
Paul
I'm
kills the
sorry, that has
Baron,
nothing to do with people. That's just me throwing
right?
it out there to be funny.
And like when Paul killed the Baron, obviously a major departure from the book, but it's like I didn't feel there was any emotion in that scene. It's like this is the guy who orchestrated the downfall of your family. Well, not the top puppet like the Emperor was, but it's like I wasn't clear in that scene. Does anybody else in that room besides Princess Aurelian know that this is Paul doing this? I wasn't really clear on that. And you got Hans Zimmer's booming score that kind of made it feel like the scene itself was on mute because it was one of those booming type da da da. And he just walks up and kind of casually stabs him. I just didn't feel anything, and now his body's on the deck. I'm like, it's pretty to look at. It's gorgeous, but I'm not feeling anything. So I hope the third one is better. And I think they're definitely going to double down on the Doomsday aspect of it with Avengers, which I don't think Dune has a chance against Avengers Doomsday, frankly, at the box office for opening weekend. But good trailer.
Well, so I mean, I'm not gonna try to predict what's gonna happen when we get there, but if they wanted to move the date, they would have already done it by now.
Yeah.
And number two, that would be the case if the last phase of Marvel was hitting on all cylinders, and they haven't.
Right.
I mean,
That's true.
so
But it's like the X-Men. People are excited to see the X-Men again.
It's gonna be interesting. Yeah, it's gonna be in. Yeah, but it's like, again, for all I know, it could open in third place. For all I know, but it's
Yeah.
like I am fascinated to see if it sticks its guns and stays on that date, and if both studios really want to recreate Barbenheimer. Like, I really want to see if they're going to stick their guns to it, because even if Dune 3 doesn't, you know, overtake Avengers, I mean, considering how much Oppenheimer made against the opening
Yeah.
to to Barbie, that's fine. Like, even if you were to tell me that Avengers Doomsday makes what? Let's say put it on a conservative amount of 185, and then Dune 3 makes 100. That seems like a win to me.
Yeah. Yeah, so we'll see how that one plays out. But then we had the Spider-Man trailer, Brand New Day. Finally, the first trailer, just 4 months out from the film's 4.5 months before the film's release. What'd you think?
My favorite part is when he jumps off the railing and you see him inside the mask, and it
Yeah.
reminded me of Tony Stark when he's getting the nuclear missile away from New York City and into the pocket dimension.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that it was invoking that sense of isolation. And you rarely, if ever, at least in the movies that are concerned, you've never really had a intimate view of Peter Parker's expression underneath the mask. So to
Right.
see that to see that executed in the trailer alone, I thought that was my favorite shot of the whole movie, because you can see kind of like that existential crisis that
Mm-hmm.
Parker is going through, because from the last movie in No Way Home, um, the magic spell that came about, him trying to protect his identity, the cost of it was is that, oh, not only are we going to make people forget that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, we're going to make everybody forget Peter Parker, period.
Right.
And I'm curious to see how they're going to execute this in a way of everybody he's ever had an interaction with in any capacity. He can't just hit up an old friend or anybody and say, hi, how you going? He's going to be like, hi, my name is Peter Parker, and I'm just curious to see how he's going to behave. Because could you imagine if nobody knows who you are, nobody remembers you, and you can't talk to the people you love and care for like normal? Like you have to basically start from the ground up. That's going to probably be the most fascinating part of this movie.
That's why I was so upset with this trailer, because it's like you're jumping 4 years ahead in time. Everything you just said would make a great Peter Parker movie. Like Spider-Man 2 by Sam Raimi is a Peter Parker story in which Doc Ock is only there for the sake of having action scenes. Like the bank heist scene, wonderful scene, but it's kind of just there because they felt they needed an action break. But it's a great Peter Parker story, and you're invested in those characters as a carryover from the first movie, so you're there for it. Here, it's precisely because of everything you said that I thought, wouldn't it be better if this movie was picking up right after the ending of No Way Home? Because how do you start building your life up again after that? That'd be a great Peter Parker story, but we're picking up 4 years later, where it seems like he already knows
Did they
Frank.
say it was 4 years? Did they say it was already
Yeah,
4 years?
the official premise is that it's 4 years later. So he's adapted to whatever
Okay.
his new reality is, and it seems that he knows Frank,
Okay.
and
That's okay. I didn't know
yeah,
that it was 4 years. I'm like, that's a lot.
well, I think they did it because it's just that's how much time has passed in reality. So they figured, oh, we'll just say it's been 4 years,
Okay.
But yeah, see,
Well,
that's the thing. It's like,
now I'm already writing my red flag here.
but that's the thing is I felt the trailer was so overstuffed. On the one hand, I love seeing Michael Mando with Scorpion, but something tells me that that's just going to be a brief little thing and not probably have anything to do with anything. Um, and you got all the ninjas that he's fighting. You got the Hand. You got the Punisher. It's like there's so much, and then Bruce Banner's there, and it's like. And another thing I picked up on the trailer that I didn't notice is that he's shooting organic webs now, which he had to do the web shooters, but now he's shooting them like
Yeah,
out of his wrist. So that was
the second thing I was gonna bring up, that this movie looks and feels a lot like Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2. But the
yeah,
reverse. Whereas in Spider-Man 2, he's losing his grip on his powers because
right,
his psyche is so chaotic with balancing his life, and nothing is working out for him. So he's basically losing control of his identity as Peter and his identity as Spider-Man, that he has to choose one over the other. But in this one, it's the reverse. It's less of an identity crisis, more of a existential crisis, and that's affecting his psychology, not as a person but as the Spider-Man itself. And I
right.
know some people have talked about what it's alluding to, but I'm not going to get into it because I have this this unhealthy knack of, if you tell me one detail that is the linchpin of this entire movie, I am going to hold on to that detail until the movie comes. And if the execution is not the way I think it's going to be, I'm going to be severely disappointed. So I'm trying not to think about it.
Old Man Bird says Florence played a commie in both Oppenheimer and the MCU.
Yes, but did you see the way she landed in her superhero pose?
Yes, and Old Man Birds follows that up. He says Oppenheimer had more nudity than Barbie, more Florence Pugh than you'll see in the Marvel movies.
Can we agree? Can we agree that at least in this version of Oppenheimer, it is the one time you will ever see a sex scene with a poetic quote of "Now I am deaf, the destroyer of worlds."
Yeah, that was weird. Again, more points towards the theory that Nolan can't really do romance and stuff very well. And Old Man Bird says Peter will find whoever the new Gwen Stacy is. Yes, people think that Sadie Sink might be filling that role because they think she's in the trailer, but not really seen. I have no idea who she's playing. I'm not even going to jump down that rabbit hole. I've heard that the character of Tombstone is supposedly in this, and so that'll be something. But again, I
don't know what Tombstone has to do with mind control, but okay.
Is there mind control going on?
Well, something's jumping from one person to the other, so.
Oh, I couldn't tell. What you mean,
unless,
like the ninja?
Unless that's the power ability of Tombstone, which I don't know much about the Tombstone character, other than that he looks like a copy of Black Mask, but okay.
Yeah, so I'm not.
No, Tobias Whale. Tobias Whale. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really know what the story is, but I did read a report on that was supposedly confirmed, but I don't know. So the trailer was kind of all over the place. So I don't know. Maybe the second trailer will hopefully not have as much stuff. It just felt like they were throwing in everything. It just felt a bit overwhelming.
Yeah, it's an Easter egg trailer because it shows, like, I think I was watching Double Toasted and they were talking about the trailer. Like, the whole point of Easter eggs is for you, the viewer, especially a viewer who's a comic book fan, is to catch on to these things as you're watching the movie. But in the trailer, they show you key moments from the famous comic book covers of Spider-Man, where he's like grabbing the guy in the midair or doing his web slinging thing and stuff like that, which I'm like, yeah, it's fine when you discover it, not when you throw it in someone's face.
Yeah.
And the problem with having Sadie Sink in the movie is that, man, you have that's Mary Jane Watson right there. I can totally see her say, "Face a tiger, you've hit jackpot." She's a natural redhead. She's gorgeous. She could have played that role to a T. But no, we got the goth chick from the first movie that somehow in the second movie she's in love with Peter.
Yeah, and then
I'm never letting that chick go. I'm never letting that shit go. I'm sorry.
Him suddenly being madly in love with her, and they're like, "Oh, we're calling her MJ, but she's not." So it's like, then why are you calling her MJ?
Oh yeah, what's her name? Like, my name is Michelle, but my friends call me MJ. What does the J stand for?
Yeah, that does. Oh, Michelle Jones something or something like that.
Yeah, but I'm like, oh my God, you can't give me one thing.
This trailer, this trailer, he's going back to them, and I'm like, are you going to redo the Amazing Spider-Man 2 with Gwen Stacy, and he's going to get her killed at the end of the movie? That'd be pretty ballsy.
It would,
but it would be repetitive.
I hope they don't.
Yeah, it would be repetitive. But yeah, we'll see how that plays out. I'm glad you reminded me. I almost forgot to bring those up again. Well, unless we got anything else you want to bring up, we can move on.
Yeah, I'm going to do a speed round. I'm going to do a quick speed round. Not only did we get those trailers, but there was an announcement trailer for Sonic the Hedgehog 4. I didn't watch, but it happened. So for people who are interested, I saw the Star Wars Darth Maul trailers. The last one that they released was an excellent trailer for an animated Star Wars property that has any right to be so. I hope that the hype matches what the show's going to be like, because that trailer was fantastic. For any Amazon Prime subscribers who watched Tom Clancy's Jack Ryan series with John Krasinski, they're making a TV movie that's coming out in May. For SNL fans, there's a documentary about Lorne Michaels that's going to be released this year. For horror aficionados, there were trailers for Obsession and Hokum, which are basically possession, haunted house type of movies. Um, there's a comedy trailer for Will Ferrell's next comedy movie on Netflix called Lonnie Hawkins, the Hawk. I think it's like a Ricky Bobby type of movie, but it's for golf.
Mm.
Netflix is going to release a movie called Thrash, which is a shark movie. Steven Spielberg Disclosure Day full trailer came out, which I stopped halfway because I thought it was showing way too much. And last thing that I'm going to talk, since we're talking about Spider-Man and it's within the conversation of the genre, I didn't bring this up when we did the last two reviews for the Batman show and the previous From the Pile episode. They released a trailer for Lanterns with Kyle Chandler and what's his name? The guy who's playing Jon Stewart.
Aaron Pierre.
Aaron Pierre. In the immortal words of Jeff Goldblum as Dr. Malcolm, you are going to have a Green Lantern in your Lantern show, right?
Yeah.
Because other than name dropping Hal Jordan, Green Lantern, and having a trinket on your finger, where's the Green Lantern? Like, unless they're still rendering the special effects, okay. That's a lot of trailer with no Green Lantern at all. Okay.
Yeah.
The only thing that I can say for that trailer is, I don't know if you read the books or if you even bought them at any point, but I feel like they're drawing at least the design of the suit that they show in that one scene where he's looking in the closet and there's a Green Lantern suit. It reminds me of Green Lantern Earth 1. So I wonder if they're drawing inspiration from that storyline. And I wonder if they're doing a Sam Raimi Spider-Man adaptation where they're basing it in this new DC universe, but they're using the Earth 1 inspiration for the characters and designs, much like it's all set in the 616 Marvel MCU, but they're drawing from the Ultimate comic books, if that makes sense as a comparison. But other than that, yeah, that's the speed round.
And I know that regarding Maul Shadowlord, it's going to be 2 episodes every week through May 4th.
Yeah. Okay.
Now,
before we start our reviews proper, would you like to do a trivia, Cat?
Yes.
All right. Let's only do one because we have already been here for almost 90 minutes. So let's just do one and not get greedy. Just got to make sure our audience doesn't fall asleep like the Oscars, but okay, question number 1558. Are you ready, Kat?
Yep.
What is the name of the highest paid star at the Moulin Rouge Club? Is it A, Christian, B, Satine, C, Sadie, or D, China Doll?
I take it this is about the movie Moulin Rouge, but oh my god, I saw that movie like once 25 years ago. I have no idea. I'm just going to go.
It's timely because they had Nicole Kidman and Ewan McGregor presenting.
I get why they were there because it was the 25th anniversary, but really, you're going to have them present Best Picture? That was just kind of weird. I'm just going to pick B. I have no clue. I honestly have no clue.
All right. The answer is incorrect. It is A, Christian.
You see, I don't even know who that is. So
it's been a while. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of those people presenting at the Oscars, I thought the Rob Reiner tribute was pretty good. And they got all those people to show up. That was really nice. But I didn't think taking time to talk about the other 3 was really warranted.
Yeah, you know what I did, and I'm not proud of it, even though it's the in memoriam. The moment Barbara Streisand pulled out the microphone, I muted the whole thing. I was like, no, we're not doing this. But and considering the technical difficulties that was happening all throughout the night, I'm like, no, my ears are not going to
Yeah.
take any more technical difficulties.
Yeah, and the thing is, the volume of the music that was playing in the background was louder than the volume of her mic, and so you couldn't really hear a lot of what she was saying. And then eventually she started singing, and it's not good. Yeah,
We
I
get
think
it. She's Hollywood royalty. No.
it's like Robert Redford should have just been the last person in the in memoriam segment who they highlight. I thought it was odd that they had a extended segment for Catherine O'Hara because she's primarily known for her role in the Canadian comedy scene and Schitt's Creek and stuff, and recently the studio. And it's like, okay, you were in the Beetlejuice movies and the Home Alone movies, but I can't think of a bunch of movies of hers off the top of my head that would warrant somebody pausing the whole in memoriam segment to go on for like 3 minutes. And same with Diane Keaton. It's like, yeah, the reason she only lists off Diane's roles in the 70s is that's kind of when she was big, and then she kind of did a few movies here and there, but I don't know. Maybe I'm a dick for saying it, but I just didn't.
No, I understand. I think the way I look at it, and again, we don't know what the decision was behind the way they did the in memoriam this time, which kind of like, sometimes keeping it simple is all you need to do.
Yeah.
I understand starting with Rob Reiner tribute, because I think that one, out of all the ones that happened, that was the most shocking and very tragic one. Like the same thing with almost on the same level in a way with Gene Hackman and how he passed away.
Right.
So it's one of those things where it wouldn't make sense to just make the majority of it be about Rob Reiner, and maybe Billy Crystal could have thrown in a line or two for Catherine O'Hara, Diane Keaton, and then, like you said, ended with Robert Redford and stuff like that. I think that would have kept it very tight.
And Robert Duvall just died a month earlier, and it's like, that's a big name that's just confined to the regular. I'm sorry. I think Robert Duvall should have gotten a bigger shout out than necessarily Catherine O'Hara, but that's just me.
I think for the trifecta people, you could have dedicated one for Reiner, Duvall, and Redford.
Yeah, but then people would complain that that's sexist. People would complain.
Considering how diverse the winners were this year, that would have been the irony the whole night.
That's true. Okay, before we go on to our current week from the pile, you have to finish your last one from the pile that you have not.
I do. I'm going to do it after you because I'm going to go in sequence.
You what?
I'm going to do this in sequence. I'm going to go last.
Oh, because so you'll have two in a row. Okay, so I'm going to go with mine first.
Oh no! I'm going to have three in a row, and I have a reason why.
You should have told me this, man. I could have.
Oh no! This was a last minute decision, so it's just all me.
Okay, so do you want to go first, or do you want what?
No, I'm going last. I'm gonna keep on waiting.
This next movie, I'll give you a clue. This is a famous movie from the 1950s.
Okay.
It's directed by the master of suspense. I was expecting a reaction, but maybe not.
I'm trying to bug my eyes out, but they're super dry, so I'm sorry. What Hitchcock movie haven't you seen?
It's with James Stewart. It's been so many riffs on this movie and spoofed and everything so many times.
North by Northwest? You're kidding.
No, it's not that one. That's Cary Grant.
Oh.
But it was very close. It was the year before.
Not The Birds. No. Before.
I got it here. Should I rise it up slowly?
Oh. Psycho.
James Stewart is not in Psycho. And that's a 1960 film.
Which one am I missing? Okay.
Rear Window. Okay. This is a movie.
Well, before you continue, and I hate to, say this now, but You know the reason why I wasn't picking up on it?
Hmm.
Because it's in the pile. So I'm sorry, but yeah, that's a surprise for me because I'm like, oh well, that's the reason why I couldn't figure it out because I still haven't seen it.
So okay, so maybe that backfired for me choosing that one then.
It backfired, but hey, we're here, we're going, let's do it.
So I had a very similar. So I always knew the basic story for this movie, going back decades, that a guy's got a broken leg. He's obsessed with spying on his neighbors because he's bored out of his mind, and he thinks his neighbors committed a murder. And the neighbor ends up confronting him in the end, and there's a confrontation, whatever. So I kind of already knew the story, which is part of the reason I didn't feel a sense of urgency in actually watching it. But now that I finally have, I felt it was a bit similar to my feelings with Full Metal Jacket, in that I've seen so many of the riffs on it over the last 30 years that now that I've actually seen the original, it didn't hit the way I was kind of hoping it would. I liked all the storylines of the various people living in the different apartments. I thought that was good. Um, but I mean, I gotta admit, it would have been so much ballsier if he was wrong and that the guy didn't murder his wife. That would have been the perfect ending. That because there's nothing really shocking about the guy who's at home and his detective friend thinks he's being paranoid. It's like, no, the surprise it seems like you're building up to is that he's going to be wrong, and the fact that the guy, within 10 seconds of the killer being seized, he confesses everything, and it's like, wait a minute, there's no evidence that you killed your wife. You know that this lady just broke into your apartment, and you saw that she had the wedding ring and was signaling to the guy across the way. So he was smart enough to pick up on the fact that, oh, you sent her over here because you think I killed my wife. So he has the grounds to make a temporary insanity defense for going over to attack James Stewart. He's like, yeah, this guy's been peeping on me and he sent somebody to break into my house. But instead, he just confesses and within 10 seconds, everything. Oh, I killed the wife. I'll take you down to the rips. Like, really? So I didn't care for that. And admittedly, being a film from 1958, the pacing is a bit slow. And I realize as I'm saying this out loud, you haven't seen the movie, so I just
Well,
it
here's
doesn't
the
matter.
thing.
Everybody knows the story.
Yeah, here's the thing. While I haven't seen it, the closest approximation to it that I can offer my points to is the Shia LaBeouf movie from the late
Disturbia.
2000s, Disturbia, which I think is a great movie, very underrated in my opinion, with a great cast as well. But it's one of those things where I'm just like, yeah, this sounds like Disturbia. I wonder if that was the inspiration for it. And I haven't seen Rear Window, but I've also acknowledged some of those key moments you mentioned about, he's looking out the window and stuff like that. And a lot of movies have, like you said, they spoofed it. It's been referenced here and there, but I haven't seen it directly. And the reason why even though I haven't seen it, that part, the way you talked about the confession and everything, how realistically it probably wouldn't have gone down that way. I don't think that was the main focus by the end. The main focus was leading up to it, so that's why it fizzles out the way you explain it.
Well, yeah, the main focus is that he falls out the window and breaks his other leg, but and they're like, oh, his detective friend shouts down, he just confessed, and it's like, okay. But Hitchcock also did this thing which immediately broke my immersion, where he speeds up the film in the action of the climax so it looks really fake. And sometimes filmmakers would do that. I don't know why. It just it's like in fast forward mode. It's like, what the hell's going on? And it read like something that was a bit sloppy. Set design is amazing because he built all this stuff.
But really, no, okay.
The what? You cut out for a minute.
Like trying to make a chase scene look like it's really fast, but really you're just fast forwarding the footage.
Yeah. So that was that, and I mean, I still liked it. I gave it 3.5 out of 5, whereas everybody else gave it like 5, 4.5, 4. But they probably all saw it before they saw all the riffs on it. But then of course in 1958, the idea of being a voyeur was something very salacious, because the idea obviously is that every time you're even the shots which aren't through like the binocular lens or the telephoto lens, you could tell the implication is that you are like a proxy for him and are spying on these people, which would obviously be very salacious in 1958. Much like going in, having a bathroom scene in Psycho in 1960 when she's flushing evidence down the toilet. And it was the first time like a running toilet had been seen in cinema. People were like, oh, it's so salacious. But some of those things just don't play as being salacious, nowadays. But Grace Kelly,
it inspired a whole genre on itself.
yes, but Grace Kelly, my God, has never looked more gorgeous than in this movie. It's amazing. Uh, the
Can I
so that's a big
can I say
standout. Mhm.
something about that? And this is just an aside. It's almost it has nothing to do with what we're talking about. But since you mentioned it, I don't know why, but lately something that's been replaying in my brain is that no matter how gorgeous you can or handsome or whatever current actresses, models are, no matter how crystal clear the picture is, there's something to say about vintage quality cinema and the
Mhm.
vintage stars of yesteryear. Because you don't
Yes.
see it is someone like Grace Kelly in her prime, it is the definition of they don't make them like they used to. Because holy
Hmm.
shit. And in
Yes.
4K,
Oh,
woo!
yes.
Mm.
4K, and it's a stunning transfer. This was also included in Volume 1 of the Alfred Hitchcock collection. But I upgraded to Steelbook. I got the disc inside the machine right now, but here it has a Blu-ray disc. Um, and him just kind of, spying on all his neighbors, and it just seemed like thematically, because he's spying on everybody, which is like they mentioned in the movie that the nurse who comes in to take care of him every once in a while mentions the penalty for peeping Tom is like some jail time and a fee. And it's like, yeah, it feels like this should be building up to maybe him getting, and maybe the Hays Code people thought, well, he broke his other leg, so that's punishment enough for spying on his neighbors. But like, there's this one girl who's like practicing to be a ballet dancer, but they call her the torso lady because she's always like wearing short skirts and just a bra, dancing in her apartment, and then she'll host these like drinking parties for other men, even though she's like supposedly married to somebody else. um, so there's all those little things going on. Yeah, again, like the Full Metal Jacket thing. If I saw it when I was younger, before seeing all the riffs on it, I probably would have loved it a lot more. But when you take away the salacious aspect, being watching it in 2026, I mean, a lot of people still love it. I just didn't. It didn't grab me as much as I wanted it to, and it kind of pains me to say that. Um, so
Oh, it's my turn, right?
it is, and you have to begin by
Well, I've
paying
kept
off.
everybody waiting, and I've been building this up and hyping this up because if y'all remember from the last episode, I revealed that I had never seen The Silence of the Lambs. And due to technical difficulties, I was unable to finish the movie, so I could only review up until where I stopped watching it before jumping onto the review, which after we reviewed our movies that night, and as soon as I logged off and I went to finish it, I didn't realize that it really wasn't that much time left between the escape
Right,
from Hannibal Lecter, his confines, to the climax. Where had I, because I could have, because usually because I have the PlayStation 5, that's my 4K player, so that's what I'm
right.
watching all of my Blu-rays on. And for whatever reason, I didn't have any access to subtitles because some of
Hmm.
the quotes or something in the movie, I had to like really listen to them again. And second, it wasn't giving me the option to show how much is left of the movie because it kind of gives you like a
Right,
meter depending on how you're watching it on the PlayStation, because the PS4 did the same thing. So the PS5 normally gives you like a meter of how many minutes are left out of what you've watched, and it helps you follow scene from scene. And I wonder if it's because of it was a Criterion uh production and not a traditional Blu-ray or 4K,
right.
that it didn't show me those
Well,
widgets that normally do.
right. If you press the like the select key in the upper right, it'll show like the PS5 version of the tracker, and it'll tell you the time. But if you use the regular arrow key or whatever to toggle the one that's native to the disc, then if it's Criterion, they don't tell you how long it is. It's
Yeah,
just like a
that's
bar.
probably that was what was happening. I think I was more
Yeah,
focused on the Criterion presentation than
yeah,
the hardware for the PlayStation. So
yeah.
I didn't realize I had basically 15.
For future reference, it's this button right here that you press to get the
Yeah,
PlayStation version of the widget to see.
yeah. But for whatever reason, that's where the technical difficulty came from. So I really
Yeah.
didn't know how much, because have I had known that I had maybe 15 minutes or less of
Oh
movie
yeah, I would
left,
have postponed it. We
I
wait.
immediately messaged, hey Kat, can we start like 15 or 20 minutes later? Just can you stall for a
Yeah.
minute? I'm almost done. But because I didn't, because the way we left, for me, that it was a cliffhanger for me. I thought that I had like half a movie left to go. So I didn't really know how much I had to. So when we were done and I went to watch it, it was a blink and you'll miss, we're done.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, I could have just texted Kat, hey, can you give me like 20 more minutes? I'm almost done here. So last time on the pile, Hannibal Lecter had escaped in one of my favorite sequences of what the fuck is happening, and no, you didn't. Like, oh my god! Like, it was like, oh, it really took me by surprise, especially, because you tend to see when the twist is coming sometimes. I did not see it coming in this one. It felt like a
Yeah.
Mission Impossible scene when he went like this. I'm like,
Yeah.
so you were kind of disappointed that I didn't get to the other part following that. So here we are, 2 weeks later, and here's a quote that I've heard before, and I couldn't quite place it. And it's a quote that I always laugh at because it's very specific. And I didn't know what the context of it was until I saw the movie. And I'm like, oh, that's where that comes from. And
Mm.
for all the parents watching, I do apologize. And I hope your kids are sleeping at this point. But sometimes in life, when you really know you look good and you look at yourself in the mirror, you just have to say it that I'd fuck me. I'd fuck me hard. Because it was immediately after. In a
Yeah.
few minutes, we get to that scene, and he's already looking at himself in the mirror, and he's dolling himself up, and Buffalo Bill is like, I'd fuck me. I'd fuck me hard. I'm like, oh, that's where that came from. So you're gonna see my eyes bulging on. I'm like, aha. I felt like since we talked about the Oscars, I felt like Leonardo DiCaprio caught in a meme going like, whoop, whoop. I know that reference. Here we go.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw
So
the
was it
scene,
like
and you
seeing
had
that
built.
scene when he's what was it like seeing that
Yeah,
scene when he's dancing?
yeah. So he's basically dancing, and I'm like, oh, this is where it's coming from, because again, I did allude that I had seen the still image of that scene specifically. And this is where I made the comparison of Buffalo Bill reminding me of Jeepers Creepers, because the Jeepers Creepers character would steal bits and pieces of other people for himself was something that he needed. And here, because the whole psychology and the MO of the Buffalo Bill character was that he, it was mentioned that he was denied sex change surgery, transsexual, all that stuff. And basically the people he was killing and why he was obsessed with, do you weigh this much or are you about this tall, is because he's basically trying to make himself the equivalent of a meat suit, because he wants to basically, that's where you have like the comparison to the metamorphosis, the comparison to the bugs and all that stuff. Like it's a metaphor to what's the Buffalo Bill character is trying to do. He wants to transform, at least the way I was looking at it. So when he's dancing and everything, and he's having his whole little boom, 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 and then he's starting to back up, and I'm like holding on to something for dear life because I know it's coming. Here it comes. I'm like, I'm about to watch cinema, people. So he pulls back and he goes like this, like Batman. And I was like, oh wow, that still image did no justice to that reveal. That I kind of wish I would have been a fly on the wall in that movie theater when that reveal happened, because that is, out of everything that happened in this movie, and even though I've seen a lot of shit, it holds up as far as a disturbing image. Because I'm looking at it, I'm just like, wow. Just wow. Like, it's a movie, but man, that is one freaky motherfucker.
Yeah, Hannah Morgan says best scene with Buffalo Bill getting ready with Goodbye Horses playing in the background. Yes, indeed.
Yeah, it's like now I didn't see any behind the scenes or anything because I just didn't have time and I haven't gone back to it. But I do have to ask, because I didn't look this up and I wanted to ask you directly while we're reviewing it. Was that a special effect, like a good special effect, or was he actually wearing a costume designed to look like the lower half of a woman's body?
I don't think it was a costume. I think he just tucked it.
No, it's just that it looked. I'm just saying that I am impressed with how realistic it looked, because you could,
Well,
you could
he
have
probably
told me
put
that
on.
it's edited in a way to look like it's his, and I would have believed it. But if it's not, it's a very good special effect. I'm just saying, as far as costume and
Yeah,
makeup is concerned.
I only ever had the DVD. I've never really seen any bonus features for this film at all. I've only seen interviews and stuff, but I know nothing about how they shot that. But I never thought of that as a special effect. I thought, well, he's a younger guy when much younger when he filmed this than from when you and I mostly knew him from shows like Monk and stuff like that. And maybe he's wearing a lot of skin creams or something to make his skin look more waxy or
No,
something.
I'm just saying that when you see it in motion, this is why I said that the still image does not do it justice. When you see it in motion, it just blended so well that in my head I'm thinking, is that a makeup that he's wearing? Like, is he wearing like the makeup design?
There's this Phantom Organist says he was tucked. It was part of the scene. You could see him fussing about tucking himself while he was doing the dance thing. So you could tell he was trying to make sure it stayed.
Okay.
While he was doing that, but yeah, that's a striking image.
It is a striking image, but because when you're looking at him from the top down, everything is fine, and then when you start to get to the halfway point, it's like, oh no, no, and so is the implication that he's wearing a manufactured bottom half, or did he already do a sex change?
He never did the sex change. He was turned down.
So that's the So it's basically wearing a pajama pants of a woman's lower half parts, basically.
Well, no, like I said, he's not wearing any type of makeup. He shaved or cut his hair that way to make it look more like that. To make it look more like that, probably put a lot more skin cream on. But he's not wearing any type of special pants or anything. Even as the character, he's just trying to, like, when you see him stand up, that's all him, and he's just trying to.
But did he cut off his penis, or is he tucking
it
in?
No. I'm saying even in the movie he tucked it, because you can see when he's standing up, he's fussing with his hands.
I thought that he was actually wearing a lower half female meat suit.
No.
That's what I'm getting to. That was my takeaway, right. That he was wearing the bottom half.
Oh no, he was still making it, because you see it when Clarice is going through the basement. And you see the whole. Okay. At least the parts that he's already made, but no, he was tucking himself in the film. But
that was my first. Well, that was my interpretation, that he had already finished the bottom half and he was trying it out, basically.
Right.
So he was taking it for a test run. So that's when I saw it, I'm just like, oh wow, damn, shit. that's why it took me back. I'm just like, that is a great special effect, or they actually went through the makeup department to hey, can you make him wear a lower half female body part? Legs and all, because it just flowed very well going down. So I'm like, damn, that looks very realistic.
So what'd you think about the rest?
But then we get and then Clarice, Clarice is getting closer to it, and I like that the climax where, and you've seen this happen in different movies before, they're all going to get him, and you think they're going to finally catch him red-handed, and then it reminded me of, because a lot of it's one of those twists where all the manpower is in one location, but then when Clarice knocks on the door, Clarice is the one knocking on Buffalo Bill's door and not the other FBI agents, because all the manpower is in a different county, in a different state altogether, and she's there by herself, following a lead herself. And I'm like, oh shit. It reminded me of, I mean, this is a more modern example, but it reminded me of The Dark Knight, where Batman is supposed to be saying Rachel, but he actually saves Harvey Dent, and Rachel is somewhere else. So that was the trick. So when Buffalo Bill opens the door, but it's Clarice, I'm like, oh, here we go. It's going to happen. And the tension is building. You know what's going to happen, but you're trying to see when it's going to happen. And you see Clarice putting everything together, the way her eyes are moving and looking at the whole scene, and how he's very deliberately just buying time because he knows where the gun is and he needs to get away from her. And
They did that at the
all
end of
hell
Saw
breaks loose.
as well, where they go to the wrong
Yeah,
address. Yeah.
yeah. And then you get to the point where she's at the house and all of a sudden she knows it's him and she knows it's about to happen. And she pulls out the gun, freeze, put your hands up. And then he just storms off. And then comes the scene that kind of felt like it hit me over the head with a aha. And it was when she's in the basement after she found the missing victim. After she's basically she's trying to lie her way into intimidating Buffalo Bill that I have backup is coming. The police have been called, which really is bullshit because she never had time to call for backup. And backup does come later, but only because they realized they went to the wrong location and they're like, oh my gosh, she's by herself. We got to go back and it's going to take a while. The moment she hits the basement and then the lights turn off, I could have sworn I had seen this before. And I really couldn't put my finger on it because not only had I seen this before, I had seen it done in other movies and I had seen it done in parodies. When it's pitch black, she has no idea where he is. He's hiding in plain sight, but because the lights are turned off, she can't see anything. And it's a callback to the beginning of the movie where he's wearing the night vision goggles. And you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of the Maggie, what was it? No, it reminded me of the Michelle Moynihan found footage horror movie where they're in that house and they're being chased by infected people, almost like a zombie horror movie. And it's all through the point of view of the guy's camera. And at the climax of that movie, the night vision turns on and she can't see anything, but the creatures are looking at her and she's trying to kind of like move around. So that's basically my comparison to, I believe this movie inspired that sequence in that movie. And then you see it inspired in like comedies and like, I know in YouTube, before YouTube became what YouTube is now, do you know College Humor? You ever seen any videos from College Humor?
Been a while.
College Humor had a show called the Angry Video Gamer, where it was basically every single episode was him as being an angry video gamer, always talking about Call of Duty back when Modern Warfare 3 came out. And they did a comedy skit of the red light of death that the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360 have when you had basically a broken system and it overheated and you can't play video games anymore. So he turns off the lights and he has his night vision goggles and he turns it on and he's doing the same thing that they do in this movie. So as soon as that happened, I'm like, oh, I know that where that reference came from. So this is the movie that inspired it. The only thing that I found a little bit unbelievable is that she can't see anything, but we're meant to see him looking at her. And he has like a little light shining him. I know they have to do that, but I'm like, I mean, he's right there. He's right in front of you. Why can't you see him? I thought that was funny in execution. Yeah. But I just liked it. I was like, I know in my gut, not knowing how it was gonna end, I know she was going to survive. But in that moment, I'm not making a sound. I'm like, oh shit. And basically he was a victim of his own creation because he had her and he wanted to play around with his food and then she got him in the end. And I like how the movie finished with the previous
I heard they cut a line of dialogue when Bill is dying when she kicks the door open and the light comes back on. And he supposedly says to her, how does it feel to be so beautiful? Because he was complimenting because that's why he was like enamored with her when he's reaching for her hair and he's not like ready to full on like grab her yet. But that was that was great.
Yeah. And then I like the way it ended where the previous I guess the previous doctor at the institute where Hannibal was being housed in, he's having a conversation with Clarice after she was basically given an award for her efforts as an FBI agent, and she has a call from Lecter, and he's talking about, hey, congratulations, yada yada yada, so and so, and then she's asking him, where are you? I'm like, oh, don't worry about it, I'm having a friend for dinner. And you see the doctor walking out of the airplane in the Bahamas, and Dr. Lecter is right there starting to follow him, and then the movie ends and the credits roll. And it's one of those endings where the camera just stays still and you see Hannibal following him all the way to the end of the credits, and I just kept looking at him, following him the whole time.
Yeah, I like also when he the first thing he says to her when he picks up the phone is like, "Have the lambs stopped screaming yet?" Because
Yeah.
he undoubtedly found out about what happened, and it's funny that she gets, of course, the commendation for killing Bill, but it was actually her friend Ardelia who pieced together the riddle and figured out, what the how to find him in the end.
Yeah.
Uh, uh Hello, PvP. Hey, Cat and Guest. Yeah, I haven't seen you in a long time, Pleasant Valley Picker. He says, no Scotty, bonus. uh, Talk about major things or you lose audience. Yeah. Uh, yeah, so what did you think about how that movie wrapped up and on the whole now that you've been able to think about it?
Oh, it met my expectations. I think this was a great
Mhm.
fucking movie. I give it a 4.5 out of 5 because even though you've seen movies, inspired by it years later, especially with a lot of crime dramas and the serial killer genre, especially Mindhunters, for example, which kind of like draws a lot from a movie like this. Even if it's an over 30-year movie, it's like a 34-year movie, it'll be 35 this year.
Yeah.
Um, it it holds up as far as the acting is concerned, the tension, the suspense, the dynamics. It's like this movie will is an evergreen movie. It will stand the test of time. Yeah, it's in a different period and it's not as fast as other movies, but it doesn't have to be any of those things because that's the beauty of its pacing. It works.
PvP, always thought I could add to the stream, but don't get an invite. I don't have your contact information, PvP, so get Jill on that because Jill, obviously, has your contact information because I don't have it. Otherwise, I'd be glad to invite you on the show. So yeah, contact Jill and have her give me your contact information. Uh,
Have
Old
your people
films
call
often
her
better.
people.
Absolutely. Hmm?
Have your
What was
people
that?
call her people.
Yes, yeah, we'll have our people talk so we can get Johnny because it's fun. You had a lot to say in the comment section when we reviewed American Graffiti. I think it's got a year and a half ago now. But yeah, what we do now, PvP, is every other week we shame each other over famous movies we haven't seen till just now, and then every other week in between we review Batman comics. So that's what we're doing here. And now, Ernesto, you have two other films from the pile that you've apparently gotten to. If
Yes,
you
I
want to spoil
do.
them both now,
And
you
I
could always
did,
save
and I
one for
did.
a week. You can always save one of them for a week. You don't have time to do it unless you want to talk about them right now.
Oh no, I'm gonna do these two because I committed to it. Because I was only gonna do one, and the second one that I did it recently. So it wasn't planned. I just did it because here we go.
Oh man, I
So
saw it in a movie
I
theater
did
too, but
mention,
not in 73. Sorry, I was just
yeah,
responding to his comment.
yeah. I did mention that I was following a theme with the movies I've been choosing since then. And even though we kind of started with, hey, let's pick a genre and stick to it, I know you abandoned it because I'm like, hey, let's do whatever. But I decided to stick to the same genre I've been on since we
It's not
started.
so much I abandoned it as that I couldn't find another movie from that to pick.
Well, I stuck to it. That's what I was trying to
Well,
say.
give me
So
clues
within
to
the
see if I
same
can guess what
genre
it
that
is.
we, yeah, within the same genre, I decided to pick, you know, kind of like a sibling of sort, maybe a
Okay.
cousin like moved. And it was one of my recent purchases that from last year, I
100%
think.
PvP. Yeah.
And it was a blind buy. It's another movie that has been memed to death, especially the last couple of years, with an actor that's been recently active and within the same family of movies in this genre. It's one of those that kind of, I always wondered about it, never got to see it. I have seen clips of it, I have seen memes of it. And by memes, and you'll know when I show you the movie what it is that I know more about this movie because of the memes, because never once seeing a footage of all, I have seen GIFs, I have seen images, I have seen still pictures where you think you know what the movie is going to be about until you actually see it. So once you peel that mask off and then you just puff yourself being, I fuck me hard in a kind of way, we have American Psycho.
Ah.
You see what I mean by I'm following a theme here?
Yeah.
And this is the 4K specifically where it starts where he's basically peeling his
Yeah,
face,
I
and
got the
then
same one.
you remove it and it shows him all bloody at the bottom and stuff. And if you look at the back, you'll see one of the most iconic moments of the movie, which was meme to death.
Yeah. Huge crush on Cindy Williams too. Yep.
I had no expectations of this movie. Okay. I didn't know it was based on the book. Haven't read the book. I only knew that it had Christian Bale in it. I had no idea who else was in this movie. And how timely it was that I decided to catch this movie, because not only does it have Christian Bale in the lead as Patrick Bateman, but, and I say Christian Bale because we talked about The Bride very recently, and here we have Christian Bale. I didn't expect to see Willem Dafoe in this movie. I didn't expect to see Reese Witherspoon in this movie. And unless I'm mistaken, and correct me if I'm wrong, I didn't expect to see a fellow DC alum in this movie in Jared Leto. And you mentioned you mentioned that Denzel Washington movie with serial killer in it, and it also has Jared Leto in it. So it's timely that I chose this one to discuss for our episode of The File. I'm gonna say this: that when the movie started, it had my attention, mainly because the moment that the Bateman character started narrating about his cosmetic routine to not only be a magnificent specimen, the way he described it, and making sure that his skin was perfectly follicle and shiny and smooth. He basically is hyping himself up to the degree that if he looked at himself in the mirror naked, he would get an erection like that. That's the kind of character he is. That's a kind of like self-centered psycho that he is.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of a shock because I had never seen Christian Bale in a performance like this before. Like, he was a completely different person. I mean, he lost himself in the role. Like, from the tone of his voice, the way he was going, it's like, hey man, hi. Like, he had that very like, oh, I am so rich. I'm a Wall Street guy. He had that cartoonish tone to him, but he made it work. And I was just fascinated by him. And then you can start like kind of like the way he was peeling the mask off in the beginning. You started to see the character flaws and who he really was under the mask, so to speak. Which I think this movie is the reason why this one in Equilibrium is the reason why he became a front runner for Christopher Nolan casting him in the Batman series. I was into it. I was fascinated with how he just, randomly picked his victims. It almost felt like there was no thought to it, but it kind of felt like it was. And then halfway through it, it turned into a very psychological history where things started to change from perspective. Things that happened in sequence kind of felt like you don't know if it was a dream sequence or if it actually happened. And at one point, I kind of felt like the people that he was going after and how he was going after them, I felt like, wait a minute, how are you able to do what you're doing and not get caught this early on? Because there's that scene in the movie where he invites the sex worker from that he picked up on the street, and then he calls a call girl to go meet him at the apartment building that he was in. When he does that the second time, and he starts chasing the sex worker with the chainsaw, and she's yelling at people, "Help me, help me!" and she's running away from him. It's like, wait, really? Nobody heard this happening? I mean, he's blaring a buzzsaw loudly to wake up the whole floor and the one up and down, and nobody's reacting. How the hell is he getting away with it? and he's leaving blood all over the stuff. And then you cut to the next scene and nothing happened. I'm like, wait, what's going on here? And as the movie was going, it kind of felt like, oh, so is this one of those movies kind of like the ending of Inception where maybe this did happen, but then didn't happen because maybe it's in his mind and because he couldn't keep his story straight when he was being asked by the detective played by Willem Dafoe, his entire perception of events were starting to break apart because it's all an internal monologue with the character. And you get to the ending, all that lead up, and it just ends with him just staring at the camera, talking about, yeah, I'm nobody. Everything here is the same. Everybody's the same, and nothing matters. And then the movie ends. I'm like, that's it. And I had to look at it. I'm like, wait, what did I just see? And then when I'm reading everything, I'm like, oh, okay, I see. Like, I had to like really look into it to see what was happening. So the ending was a bit disappointing, but Christian Bale as an actor and the character, I think, was the highlight of the whole movie. Everything he was doing, he was so sadistic. He was he was insane, basically. You know what he reminded me of? I felt like he was doing an impression of Jim Carrey because I could totally see Jim Carrey play this role himself almost the same way. With the way he's going like this, it's like, ho, 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 ho. And when he has Jared Leto in the apartment and he's wearing like the trench coat, go like this, ying, 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 I'm gonna murder you, I'm gonna murder you. And then you had that meme that you see with Christian Bale holding the actual like this. I was like, hey, I recognize that meme. So it really has that kind of cultish vibe to it, which again, going back to what I already said, it got memed, so therefore it retains its cult status. So the ending was disappointing. The energy kind of got sucked out of the room in the third act when he starts going on his shooting rampage out of nowhere because he decided to grab a kitty cat and shove it into the automatic teller machine for whatever reason. I'm like, wait, what the fuck is going on here? Why are we doing this now? So it was all right. I'm not disappointed in watching it. I'm just disappointed in where it was leading to. Because if I were to compare him to Hannibal Lecter, he's an amateur, basically. There's no finesse, no class. He's just a whiny little bitch.
Yeah.
I would give it like a 3 out of 5. Generous.
Yeah, I think I gave it the same. It's a movie I feel is more famous for the memes and all that kind of thing, but then when you actually watch it, it's like, oh. And then a couple key scenes. But yeah. I did like the end twist, though. I thought that was kind of...
Holy shit. Christian Bale at the age of 27. My God, man. I have never been more jealous in a man's BMI than I was watching him doing his skin routine. I'm like, God damn it, dude. You look fantastic. Holy shit. That's probably the best shape he's ever been in his life at that point, because you know how he's famous for altering his body, like getting fat, getting super skinny for a lot of the roles. This is one of those movies where I'm just like, bro, why the hell did you gain all that weight when like you pretty much had the body of a Bruce Wayne Batman already? I'm surprised that he bulked up like a bear when you see the behind the scenes of Batman Begins. It was like they had to bring him back down to how he looked as Patrick Bateman.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was the movie that I was originally wanting to just do for this week's episode of The Pile. But after watching the Oscars this Sunday, and because they did the In Memoriam, and because they started the In Memoriam with honoring Rob Reiner, I felt it was time for me to finally pull this one out of the pile and dive into Misery.
I thought you were going to let me guess.
No, I just wanted to go into it.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. This is another movie, much like American Psycho, and much like our aforementioned guy here, Silence of the Lambs. And honestly, it's much like our Dirty Harry movie and all the movies that I've brought up until this point. It is another example of a movie that I know of because of either a still image or something the movie is famous for.
Yeah.
And what makes this movie famous and why I was always aware of it, even though I had never seen it, it was a scene where Kathy Bates has James Caan on the bed and she felt disappointed and betrayed by him, to the point where she basically cracks his ankles with the mallet, and that's the famous scene of this whole movie. That's the one. That's it. And everything I watched up to it and everything I watched after was brand new information for me. But the one thing I was aware of was him being on the bed, begging for her to be like, please don't. Please don't do what I think you're going to do. It's like, no, it'll be all right. Trust me. They used to do this before to teach the thieves from the mines. You know what they used to do? In order to keep them from working, they had to clap their feet, right? They can still work, but they didn't want them to run away. And then she goes, bam, and bam. And even though I know it's a special effect and they're not really his legs, there was a moment where I kind of like felt like I was caught off guard, and I went like this. Oh! It's kind of like when you see a guy get hit in the gonads, and that's a guy you feel it, even though you didn't get hit. It felt like my ankles were being hit. She was going to town on him. And this movie, the beginning in the snowstorm, where he's basically already, you know, the James Caan character, he in the movie, how timely, because I talked about a Stephen King movie. This is a Stephen King adaptation, and Stephen King really loves his snowy mountains and his authors, because here we are again somewhere in the snow, and someone who's out in the snow who shouldn't be in the snow. He's driving his Mustang, and at some point you think maybe I should turn back, but no, I'm gonna keep going because I'm already made it this far. And then he crashes, and somehow the Kathy Bates character finds him and she drags him out and pulls him like he weighs nothing and takes him to her house, which, you know, that's where the movie kicks in. Like, yeah, he's happy that she saved him, but as we start getting into it, not only does she recognize him and he's a fan, because a lot of people in that small town knows that he goes into the mountains, into that cabin to write his famous books. And one of his famous books, which is the title to this movie and the name of the pig, is Misery. He writes a novel series of his main character called Misery, and he basically just finished writing the manuscript to his next chapter. And they already said in the beginning of the movie that he's going to kill her off, but the mystery, she doesn't know about it. And then when she finally reads it, that's when she slowly starts to unravel, and she's no longer being the good Samaritan nurse that saved them. No, she starts being celebrity's worst nightmare. I am your biggest fan. And you know the psychology of your biggest fans, that's the stalker mentality, the John Lennons of the world, what was that, who was the guy that famously shot the United States president because
Hinckley.
he was doing it for Jodie Foster?
Hinckley.
Yeah. Yeah, so you have all those really unstable people, and I gotta say, I was enthralled the whole time, because even though I knew it was gonna happen, I was not expecting everything else. You know, the one part that kind of took me off guard, outside of the feeling the injuries that she was inflicting on James Caan, the small town sheriff, God bless him, he did nothing wrong. He was just doing his job. And when he opens the door, he looks at the basement, and he's like, hey, is that you? And my God, I was not expecting her to pull out the shotgun and blow a hole through the back of his chest. I was like, Jesus Christ. Shit just went, oh my God. And then it just kept escalating and escalating and escalating. I had a great time watching this movie. A lot much better time than I was watching American Psycho. I think it was a great movie. I think one of Kathy Bates' best performances, I feel. And I always laugh every time I see James Caan in anything, because I always feel he's the same age in any movie he's in. He always looks like he's 100 years old. And no matter how young he's supposed to be in real life, excuse me, in the movie, he always looks like he's 40 or 50. I'm like, God damn, dude, why do you always look so fucking old in everything you're in? It was a great movie. I gave it a 4 out of 5. I think it's a really good, well-directed movie. Pacing is very good. The tension is very good. The acting is fantastic, especially with Kathy Bates in the lead. I think it's a great movie, and I'm glad I got around to seeing it. Give it a 4 out of 5.
That's a movie where I feel the rest of the film can't live up to that scene. it's like after that it became kind of okay, kind of a standard thriller. How are we gonna get out of here type of thing. Uh, and also up to that scene, it also feels like you're building up to it because everybody knows that scene. Uh, but yeah, I liked it.
Yes,
I saw it
I
once,
knew
and
of the scene. I didn't know what was going to happen.
you just didn't know what.
I just didn't know how it was going to happen. So the
Oh,
build-up
okay.
worked for me because I was looking for. I only knew of the scene because I knew of the scene. I didn't know anything before it, and I had no shit clue at anything after. So to me, it worked because everything was brand new information.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
Well,
this really does fall into the classic section. So very good. I really enjoyed it.
yeah, that's good. All right. I think we finally reached the end of this episode. 2 hours, 15 minutes in. Uh, well, I thank
Yeah, it's our
everybody for
longest
being
movie.
here. PvP, Phantom Organist, Herc 130, Old Man Bird, and DJ Play Nice Rock. Yeah, so we've had fun here tonight. Next week we will be back with our Batman show, and we will be reviewing the Court of Owls, which is the launch of the Scott
Indeed.
Snyder run of the New 52 Batman. So that will be fun, and we'll have new movie reviews for sure. So yeah, stay tuned for that.
Yeah, before we go, for anyone keeping track, the movies that I have seen for the first time in the past 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like 4 or 5 weeks now is The Shining, Good Time, Chinatown, Zodiac, The First Dirty Harry, Silence of the Lambs, American Psycho, and Misery.
I can't remember all of mine, so I'm gonna have to go back and check.
Well, you saw both the remake and the original Fright Night, right?
That's right. I did those two. I did
Yeah,
Full Metal
you saw
Jacket. I
those.
did
Full Metal Jacket. You just talked about Rear Window. You
Carrie.
talked about a Stanley Carey and the Stanley Kubrick movie.
Full Metal Jacket.
It was, yeah, yeah. And then what else did you talk about?
I'm gonna have to pull it up. I should know this, but I thought I knew this, but yeah.
Oh, Lethal Weapon. Lethal Weapon. Lethal
Lethal
Weapon.
Weapon. That's right.
Yeah.
So yeah, Lethal Weapon,
Well, any
Carrie,
other
Full Metal
comments? Or,
Jacket, Rear Window, the Fright Night films, and I'm sure something else.
yeah. Any other comments, or are we good to go?
I think we're probably good to go. Oh, you know what? I could also check to double check what I put on there. I could check my
Sure.
fucking letterbox. Let me
Might
just
as
check
well,
that
since
real
we
fast.
have talked it up.
Yes, let's see. I got so Rear Window was this week. Last week was oh no, it wouldn't have been last week. It was the week before last. It was Full Metal Jacket, and then oh God, this goddamn security check again. Okay, here we go. Criminal on Scream 7. How to Make Killing the Town. What was it? No, that wasn't it. How else did I pick? I thought I. Never mind. It's gonna take a while because I can't find. See now. Now it gets to the point where it's like, okay, I know Full Metal Jacket was from 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks before that would be around mid-February, I want to say, but I'm not seeing anything here for that. Yeah. Oh well. All right.
Oh.
We'll see you all next time. Take care.